So TOX.
Mine
Optical
works.
Secure.
No, it's public, the public one.
Mine isn't connected yet.
Is there one called second floor public?
Yeah,
Okay, try
So,
that
let me
one.
know.
with that same password.
It's just.
Interesting too is the new screens are a lot larger, so it is a little easier to see.
There's second floors.
Take a few.
Hope they give you a password.
Condo, but we.
That work?
Yep, that seems like it worked.
Is there a password for second floor?
Yeah.
Town Hall, capital T.
No, it's gonna be.
Capital T. What I'm on.
Yeah, I don't know why mine didn't want that public. It just says there's no internet there. Oh, now it,
Yeah, I'm connected to that one too now.
What did you get on, Andy?
second floor.
Did I just go to watch?
Oh, the second floor is nicer.
Sorry.
That's town hall capital.
Yeah, it's right.
Meeting details.
Oh.
Second floor is better.
To the bottom of that.
Secured, which is one nice thing.
Town council.
Mine says public. Floor, town hall. Town Frisco second floor public.
Oh, it does, but it's a secured. You have to-
Okay. Town hall, capital T, all one word.
Yes. Progress.
We haven't all been here together in a while.
You know, it's been a minute.
It's nice.
It's been a minute.
And with our new chair, welcome back.
You got your mallet?
My
Practice.
mallet. Hammer.
Gavel.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm like, why did I call it a mallet? I'm like, oh, I use mallets. Put it
Well,
in sign.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Who's doing what?
Felt like low stakes.
Cool. Are we? Reading for Katie.
Who did this email come from? For the meeting, who's it come?
Kimberly.
Kim?
Or that's.
You ready? All right, then I hereby call to order the July 16th meeting of the Town of Frisco Planning Commission. Kim, are you taking roll tonight? Excellent.
Oh.
Here, yes, sorry.
Here.
Okay,
Here.
Conley,
Here.
Tane,
Here,
Forsythe.
Here. Here.
We want to see what the hand raised is for. Quick, just to check if there's a problem with hearing anything.
Okay, Keith.
Vicky, did you mean to raise your hand?
You're still muted.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on. The minutes for the previous planning commission meeting have been distributed. Does anybody have any comments on those minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Next up is time for public comment. If there's anybody here or online that has any public comment for something that's not on tonight's agenda, this is your chance to speak to it. Anyone have something not on tonight's agenda to talk about? Seeing no one in the chambers, no one online, we will move on. So next, we will get into our first agenda item. Planning file number MAJ 250002, a final review of the major site plan application for a proposed mixed-use development consisting of 6 residential units and 2 commercial units located at 121 East Main Street, 6th degree townhomes, applicant Margaret Zeiden.
That's good.
Opposed? Representing Baseline 121 LLC. And we will have Katie to tell us all about it.
Great, thank you. I think I would like to recognize how far we have come and that we're all very excited that we have an application before you for this property that we are recommending approval for with conditions, as you'll see. I know the applicant has put a lot of time and effort in, especially over the last maybe month, just to really fine tune everything, to really bring it up into compliance with town code. So not a lot for planning has changed since the last sketch plan you saw. You saw in your application submittal that the applicant included a narrative and they did reflect on each one of the planning commission comments and direction from the last sketch plan and noted how they had complied and made modifications. Staff does find that they did a good job meeting those. We fully support all the changes they made. So I'm going to do a very brief presentation and then we'll just take your questions. Also recognizing the new screens are bigger, and so hopefully you can all see anyway, even though still we don't have the individual in front of you like we used to. But if you need me to zoom into things, I have the plans I can also pull up to help out. So, okay, so just really brief overview. As a reminder, this is a development which will have 5 new units and 1 existing residential unit, so a total of 6 residential units. There also will be a new approximately 1,000 square foot commercial space added to where there is currently vacant space along Main Street, and the existing restaurant is proposed to remain. So you're looking at a total build out of 1 commercial, probably office, but it could be other uses allowed on Main Street in the Central Core District, 1 restaurant and 6 units for residential dwellings. The back of the property along Galena Alley is where that access is going to come in, and that will include a parking garage with lifts and parking lifts and bike storage. As a reminder, this is Central Core and adjacent to mixed use and commercial property. So the uses are all allowed by right, and it fits in with the uses that are around it. So just a brief look at the floor plan is a refresher. This is ground level. So you're coming in off the access into the garage. The Planning Commission did recommend its sketch plan that the applicant does not do the tandem lift systems for that local workforce housing unit that currently exists. The applicant did listen to that. And so that unit has assigned spaces that are not in the lift system to help out the locals who will live in that unit. And all the parking requirements are shown in complete compliance. And engineering has also looked at turning radiuses and signed off on everything also for the parking garage that we had questions on previously. All of the use, I'm not going to go through all the floor plans. Everything is in compliance. We've checked bedroom counts, all of that. I can get into this further, but I think we addressed it pretty thoroughly at sketch plan. To note that there was a plat note recorded that was overlooked by the staff at the time and town attorney. That plat note allowed a maximum of 6 residential units and 2 commercial units. We went back and forth a lot legally, and it was established that because of this plat note, there is common vested rights to the property for 6 residential units. So there was some confusion. Staff also admittedly was incorrect that you couldn't have 6 units because of density, but legally they are allowed 6 units and we are moving forward with it as allowed. And that is all through the attorneys, and staff definitely has done a lot of understanding of new common law, or not new, but new to us common law vested rights. All right, so the community plan still is referenced in your staff report, so I'm not going to read these. Staff had highlighted its sketch plan also, and there were no concerns with how this met the community plan. Central Core is now completely in compliance. That includes setbacks, building height. I want to note that the applicant has no bulk plane encroachments, and I did want to recognize that because I know the Planning Commission before has requested or appreciated when bulk plane encroachments are not even needed. So no bulk plane encroachments are even proposed, and everything complies with the Central Core District. Development standards on this is everything that does comply. It includes traffic study, non-vehicle access requirements, parking requirements and design, snow storage, outdoor lighting, landscaping and re-veg, and non-residential development standards. The only reason I broke these down is on the next slide, I have a couple of topics which the special conditions that are suggested with those, there's full compliance with. That includes drainage. There's just a few remaining comments from the town engineer. Our understanding is they will not alter the site or any changes that planning commission looks at, which is why we're comfortable with the planning commission having a special condition to those effect, to that of drainage comments. The same for access, and I'll get into that one also. I'll go back in a minute to that. Refuse management, we have a letter from the waste hauler confirming the new layout was confirming that the old layout from about a year and a half ago is acceptable. Staff did not catch until last week that we probably should have asked for a new one when the layout into the structure and the recycling and trash changed. We don't think the applicant will have a problem. People usually tend to get those letters. We did not want to hold the applicant for an oversight on our end on this, so we put a special condition in that we receive that letter prior to issuing a building permit. So we'll make sure we have it in compliance for that stage. And then access, I'm gonna go back to the site plan quick. The access conditions regarding striping and signage are related to the access off of Main Street where the adjacent property is for the Loaf and Jug. So as a reminder, the property will be built out now to the property line on the east. That will limit the existing access into the gas station. They have a legal right to build out to this property line that we have found. Nothing has been provided that says differently. So because the access in and out of the gas station will be more difficult for the trucks, the engineer and the applicant, town engineer and the applicant have worked out that there would be a one-way signs and striping put in. That is going to be the responsibility of the applicant. And that is just a condition to make sure that that continues to be followed or implemented prior to construction. So I believe in the applicant can speak if differently. My understanding is they have worked this out with the engineer and they're okay going to a one-way striping plan. In your packet, there was an attachment that had the modifications made that were reflective of planning commission at sketch plan in February. And then right now, there weren't a lot of changes made. I forgot the color and materials upstairs. I can go grab them if you want to see any hard samples. I will note that on the back corner where the transformer is, there had to be a reduction of some windows, and that is to meet Excel requirements. And that is also why you will see the loss of that door into the waste recycling. They cannot put that door windows back in. So staff requests that planning commission does not request more windows and doors in that corner because it will not meet Excel requirements. And we do need to also recognize those required setbacks from the transformer. We have had no public comments received in writing or that verbally to myself as of even today. And we recommend that the planning commission approve the application based on the findings and conditions in the staff report. I will not read them all, but as a reminder, there were 9 conditions. Some of them are more standard, but we started putting them in to make sure people really understand and remember the foundation ILC, the roof ILC, meaning other agency requirements, things like that. So happy to go over anything else, but that's all I prepared for you. So.
Thanks, Katie. So move on to questions for staff. April?
Yeah, I
Any
just had one
questions?
question. Maybe you can pull up that first image that you had up. It was around the trash enclosure. So there was 2, they were showing 2. Is there one outside on the east and then still one inside?
So the trash enclosure will be, sorry, I shouldn't have said enclosure. The trash and recycling will be completely enclosed in the garage.
Okay, that's
Yep,
all.
sorry.
It's moved from the east side in there.
I'll let the applicant describe. It's in the same spot. Basically, it just doesn't have a garage door going into it.
Okay.
Yep.
And we don't see any problems with getting that. We have other buildings that do the same type of approach, right?
We do, but that is also why we require the letter from the waste hauler to show that not having that garage door they had originally seen is still okay for them.
Okay.
So we will make sure we have that letter prior to building permit submittal. That's why we put it as a condition so we don't forget.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was it for me.
Okay, thanks. Candace?
Did you say that there's no like legal
There's nothing that Loaf and Jug has legally to use this property.
That is our understanding. The applicant can speak to that also, but through all of the documents by the former planner who had worked on this, there was nothing, she said.
That's all that.
What concern did you have?
Just that their gas trucks are gonna be changing a lot.
Sorry. My question was, did we talk about there being some kind of a covenant or something about remember, the maintenance of that lift system and whether,
So the planning commission had talked about it. The applicant's response was they provided information in your packet, and I can pull it up, on the maintenance and the history of those lift systems and operability. They didn't propose a specific covenant. They had some notes they put in their narrative about it, so I'll let you know what they thought. They didn't propose a covenant itself, as the planning commission suggested they could.
okay, but what, does it have to be proposed by the applicant or can that be something that the count or the town imposes?
Let me think a little while you talk and see if I think it's in the purview.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
Thanks. Ira?
Staff, I'm assuming, or maybe shouldn't, that the applicant and the owners of Loaf and Jug have been in conversation?
I'll let the applicant speak to that,
Okay,
just because I haven't been part of them. They have, but I believe, but I haven't been part of them.
okay.
Just one question. We talked a bit about the community space. Would you just give us review what that ended up being and
So I believe, and this is where I apologize that I took this on 2 weeks ago. I'll let the applicant speak if I'm wrong when it's their turn in their presentation. My understanding is it's proposed exactly how it was at sketch plan, and that they feel that it is the best location to have it provided. And so it is in that corner. And then you have the bike racks in here. Also.
okay. And it's just so I understand the requirement is community space if there's a certain amount of commercial,
Per gross floor area of the building,
if it's on Main
of the
Street.
project.
Okay.
Yep.
And then this is like a community space, so it's for the residents, but also for the public.
No, it's not, but I'll explain that in a minute.
I'll let her
Okay.
give you the info.
Great.
Sorry, that's my lack of diving into this before a week or two ago. Thanks.
No, nothing else. Thank you.
I have no questions for staff. Thank you.
I have one question, and I don't know if we have an answer, but I'm thinking back to when Come and Go came through. Remember that application? I can't remember what chair you
Yeah.
were sitting in at the time, but we had some issues with that. It was going to create some access and some traffic pattern problems. And even though they had a right to that land, we were able to ask that they work directly with I can't remember what the hotel was called at the time.
I think it was it Best Western then or no?
Baymont?
Baymont
Baymont,
or Fairfield.
And we asked them to work with the owners of that to try and streamline it, even though they had full rights to that property. How were we able to ask that of the Come and Go and not on this one? How come we can't say, because the public works director is saying this is going to create traffic issues, but we have no ability to say we're not comfortable with the traffic issues it's going to create?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that one. I was here. I remember Bill Gibson was the planner. What I remember also is that part of the compromise was the town allowing, and it helps, I use them all the time, instead of having a big raised curbs. That's why it's all more, you can go over the edge. So basically you have your access, but you can go a lot wider if you need to. As far as between the two, I'd have to look into it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
all right. No more questions for staff. Anyone else?
Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
The water line that's on this, where does it connect? Does that go like through Frisco or just to this property or what is it?
I'll
serve?
let the applicant or their design comment on that one. They have more knowledge on exactly where it is. Thanks for bearing with me on this.
Thanks.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Maybe has nothing to do with the application though, but I'm curious if I'm guessing keep account or have some kind of idea of where we are in terms of the short-term rental caps?
Mhm.
Are we up against it?
Yeah, we have a wait list. So we have 924 licenses. We have 923 issued right now, and one we're waiting for someone to submit an application on. I only know this because I'm doing all the STR right now. And we have, as of tomorrow, when we post the new one online, I think we'll have approximately 40 people on the wait list. So we just added we lost approximately 26 licenses due to renewal season when they didn't renew. So though we just got ourselves back up and released a lot from the wait list. So now those 40 will probably not be released, mostly for at least a year until next renewal. Because the only way we will have an opening now that we're maxed out is if someone sells a property that has a license. We go through that list each month and then we take the next one from the wait list to fill in that sale. So it's only 1 to 2 to 3 a month at the most that we see a turnover of now that we got through renewal period. So you're looking at about 40 on the wait list, about a year or more till they're released, most of them. So someone at the bottom of the list is going to wait over a year, most likely.
Okay. So, sorry,
Can I ask a piggyback on that?
what, hang on one second. So like these units, if they don't get short-term, if they're not fully occupied by owners, they're not gonna be short-term rentals, at least in the immediate future.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, Kelsey.
No. Mine's in here, they.
Sure.
In a year, they could be.
But I'm so proud of myself. I know all about STR licenses.
Have you seen like there's an average of like how many drop off in each renewal now that we've been through the cycle, a couple
So it probably about 20-ish.
drop off each year?
Yep.
Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to applicant presentation. Like to
Yeah.
state your name.
Buddy,
Step up.
thanks for having us back. We're happy to be here. I'm not going to go through all the details of the project because we know that. I'd like to just address a lot of your questions. The waste management letter, we actually have that in place, and I'll just get it over to you, Katie. We did anticipate that the garage door may or may not be there, depending on the size of transformer that we use for the site. So before we even went with putting the extra access door and going through, there was a variance with Public Works to have that extra potential drive, or it was really just an access point for the dumpster room. That's a part of the garage already. I had already spoken with Waste Management and gotten approval that they could access our waste through our main garage door. So that's that one. With the property line and Loaf and Jug, we did our own study on the driveway and how the trucks access and where they pull in. And I've provided copies of that previously, and you all have that documented and photographed. The trucks pull in about 4 foot off the property line. And before we were even fully aware of the water line easement that's there, which should be everybody's concern more than anything, we designed our site 5 feet off the east property line just because of Loaf and Jug. So where we could build to our property line technically, but we designed it 5 feet off the property line. Then we found out there was a water easement that was recorded on the Loaf and Jug side, and there's 15 feet of easement, a little bit over 15 feet of that 20-foot easement sits on the Loaf and Jug side, and that's a town water main that goes through there that also has encroachments of the Loaf and Jug building, their dumpster and their shed, and possibly their gas fills are already in the easement. We're not in the easement, which is great, and our plans are not in the easement. So there's about just over 4 feet, like just under 5 feet of that easement sits on our side of the property line. So I just want to make that clear to you guys. So the gas trucks, they're very good drivers because they're probably the best truckers that you get on the road, are the guys driving the most flammable equipment. So they just pull straight in there. They fill on the east side of their truck, and then they back out. So they've used it that way for as long as we've had that property, since 2021. I haven't ever seen them really go over the property line for that. But you've got a lot of cars and people coming and going in a really small space, which we all hope and use in the future will not be a gas station because it's kind of crazy to have that in the middle of town. But you know, eventually that use will change, I'm sure. But the gas trucks have no access problems now with the driveway. The driveway is, when you measure from our property line to where the Loaf and Jug brick fence is, that's the commercial driveway width. I think it's 24 feet. So that's a standard width anyway. If you just want to have one-way traffic going through there, which is what Public Works has recommended, we're happy to promote that. It just makes it easier for everybody, I think, anyway. Gas stations, no matter where they are, tend to get really busy. With just moving over to the lift systems in the garage, we reduced the number of lift systems by redesigning our garage a little bit. So we only have 2 of the Harding steel lifts in there. And I've been thinking a lot about how that works and how we will manage it as an association. And while I think that the parking will be assigned to a specific unit, I think the care and the keeping of the garage and the maintenance would be better suited if it was an association management thing instead of an individual owner thing. That way, you could say that the people that have the lifts may be at a little bit of a disadvantage on maintenance, extra expenses. That way, the whole cost of maintenance of the garage area, whether it's heating or cleaning or power washing, which will have to be advantageous with the fact that we've got commercial waste in there as well. That would be the way I see it. I'm yet to talk to our lawyer about it for the governing documents. I think that that's the best way to manage the care of the garage, is that those lift systems are part of the overall maintenance of the association and not an individual owner. Then been talking to Loaf and Jug for a long time, so he knows that we're coming. As with the people at 111 Main Street, they have a license agreement with us, which is cancelable for some of their snow maintenance. They have some, I think you might remember one of the previous planning commissions, we had people that were their neighbors. So the next project along, I don't know that address. So 111, maybe it's 101. On the other side, they have drainage issues off their roof that goes through that portico, like that drive-through area. It freezes that whole area and it washes all of 111's parking in ice. So if there's a drainage issue coming from anywhere, it's 2 doors up. They had some complaints one time, but I explained to them that it was just a license agreement. It wasn't any kind of legal document that wasn't cancelable. As with the water line itself, we'll know more once we get into excavation, have a look and see where it actually is. The locates that we have show that it veers off and encroaches upon our property outside of the water easement in the northeast corner of the property. But we're committed to getting it all sorted out and making sure that we have a healthy water line loop. So that's part of the water system that loops to prevent freezing and so on and so forth. And I think with some of the drainage that Tony put together, there's a little bit of heating system or something in there, is there not? Am I wrong? Yeah, okay. So that's all I have. I'm really happy that we're finally here after so many years of work. And I think it's going to be a very exciting infill for the town of Frisco, and hopefully we can get some other spots and it'll just be a lovely walking promenade from Main Street to Town Hall, where, you know, it's just lovely all the way along. It's not too many cuts in the road and things like that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant?
I just had one question around, are you planning to upgrade to the latest lighting code as the town's recommending? So you don't have to deal with that in 10 years. Okay,
We've already got that accounted for in our plan.
that's it for me.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stumble through a couple questions. My impression from the engineering comments is that the water line replacement, the town is requesting you guys to do it. Are you guys okay with that, or are there more conversations to be had?
There's more conversations with the lawyers to be had based on previous findings from a couple of years ago. So just gonna, once we get down to what's actually required, we might need to replace the water line. We're doing a flow study right now. When we did the initial flow study with Summit EMS, the rate of water, and I could pull it up or share the study, which is probably easier than remembering it. But the rate of water far exceeded what was a basic requirement. It was like, I don't know, 13,000 million, whatever, instead of 5,000 million, whatever. So it was far exceeding. So we've got our civil guy doing another study based on what our usage would be. So the water line may not need to change. It's just the fact that it's been in the ground for so long. We want to make sure the condition of it is healthy while we've got that excavation happening. And we want to make sure that it sits in the easement where it's supposed to be. So, you know, we don't know if it's all in the easement or it's not, and make sure that the access points are, you know, the valves are clearly marked and accessible, because previously they haven't been able to find them. So, yeah. Oh, I'm sitting back too far.
So my impression was that the water line was too close to some proposed utilities associated with this project. But you're saying if the water line is where it should be, it's not a problem.
It may not be a problem.
But we don't know.
We don't
exactly
know
where the
that.
water line is.
Yeah, a lot of speculation about something nobody's seen for about 60 plus years.
Have there been locates on it?
They can't find it.
The utility locates cannot find it.
When I first came on site, there was a guy in our yard with dowsing rods. Like, that's how they were trying to find it, because regular utility, like, so hadn't seen that for a long time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to see, talk to him. So, you know, we're not really going to know until we open it up. So
I feel like that's, I don't know how this works with the building permit. Maybe this is beyond the planning purview, but it's like waiting until excavation might be an even bigger risk to like figure out, because that seems like a big cost.
it's
that-
got to be handled either way, right?
Right.
It's either in our way or it's not. So, and then once we get clear on that, then the lawyers can have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
There was certainly some ownership issues, you know, that we established with the town a couple of years ago when it came up. So, you know, I'm not a lawyer, so I'll just let them figure it out.
Got
We
it.
understand what the cost is.
Okay. I don't know that we're going to solve it tonight. I just,
Yeah.
from representing the town, that feels like a big risk to move forward with.
And I'll just, if I can interject,
Yeah.
the reason that we put that condition in, we made sure it's in here, and it's number 3. Because we knew the applicant was still I rewrote clearly disagrees, but if the applicant disagreed with aspects of the memos, the building permit shall not be issued until the public works director and contracted town engineer find all plans. So
Okay.
we didn't feel as planning that we should continue to delay the application when there is the uncertainty, and it doesn't seem to be going to be resolved until they start going into it. So that it is something that the applicant is aware, if anything, for utilities, water, sand, Excel comes up that requires any modifications to the building facade layout, anything that they're gonna have to return. They're feeling confident that it will work in their favor and that they won't even need to return to you, but they are aware that there is some risk involved in them having to come back to planning commission based on what ends up coming up. But we did cover kind of the towns by putting that in. That's
Okay.
why we added a little, it's a little weird language that we made up, but
Yeah, yeah,
so
okay.
just to let you know,
That was
we don't feel like you're going against the town because of the condition, and that the applicant is fully in understanding of what that means.
Okay.
So.
Okay, cool. My other questions are around the loaf and jug. It sounds like you've had a lot of conversations, and I absolutely understand like property rights, and they were on your property probably for a long time, but I've also.
They never
tried-
paid for any gravel or repair or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
I understand like the precedence and the property ownership, but
right.
I've also filled up with gas there a lot, and it's a hot mess a lot, and so.
It's always going to be a hot mess. It's a gas station in the middle of a main street of
Yeah.
a tourist destination.
So is your vision for the gas trucks, and is this what they do today, where they go pull head in on the Second Avenue driveway and then pull straight back out?
They do,
And that's what they are gonna
That's what they
continue
do.
to do. Okay,
and they'll fit. So nothing will change. There will be some changes during construction, but we're all gonna have some changes during construction. Even going down Main Street today, there's changes during construction.
yeah. And then, so I assume the vehicles that are getting gas are also gonna follow this one-way loop.
They're human beings. They just do whatever they want, no matter what
Okay.
the signs are.
They will be signed so that all vehicles follow the one-way loop.
Hopefully,
And then if a gas truck is filling up, if a tanker truck
gas
is there.
trucks, when the gas truck pulls
shuts-
in and fills up, nobody can access our lot. It's very narrow.
Okay,
So the way that the restaurant operates with those pull-in parking spots right now, no, if there's any pull-in parking there, like when you pull straight up to the east side of what's the Indian restaurant? I've forgotten its name. India Spice, thank you. When you pull up to India Spice right now, if you're pulling straight up perpendicular to the building and a gas truck pulls in, you're not going anywhere for a hot minute.
yeah,
And if you're parked in that lot, you're not going anywhere for a hot minute either.
yeah.
So that's just, I don't know. I've never heard anybody complain. I guess they just go for a walk.
Okay, so then as this becomes on paper, a one-way loop, the gas station basically just is out of commission while the trucks are there and nobody can get in.
The gas station's pretty much out of commission when the trucks are there, except for that first lane. So there's two sides of the Bowsers that you pull in on. So if you're pulling in on the straight side Bowser, you're gonna pull in and you can loop back out. But if you're accessing the Bowser on the other side or any of the parking in front of Loaf and Jug, I don't know how they handle that when the gas truck's there.
I guess
'Cause
This is more of their problem. I'm just, like,
Yeah,
as a
it-
community member, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
it's
about
just
how-
logistics on their site and,
Yeah.
and those logistics are not changed because our building's there and a gas truck's there. Like if the gas truck is there, that site has its own dynamic.
Right,
And when the gas truck is not there, people can exit like normal anyway. So the building being there or not shouldn't make any difference if there's no truck there.
yeah, I guess that it's not as much about the building, but more the driveway width is getting really narrow and changes the operations of people.
But the driveway width is still commercial standard 24-foot wide
Yeah.
with our building there, with the new development.
Right. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is on paper, everything you've done is working.
Great.
In reality, I think it's really gonna feel very different.
Well, I mean, optimally,
Sorry, but I just,
so let me explain a couple of things. I came from a very big real estate market. I used to work property on Las Vegas Boulevard, right in the middle of the strip. And so egress on Las Vegas Boulevard, when you've got 30,000 people a day, pedestrians walking down the street. What eventually happened is anytime anybody put in a new casino or anything, they were required by the town to like put in these overarching walkways, which are very expensive, and elevators and escalator systems to keep people moving. And so I don't think that's going to happen in the town of Frisco. We might eventually get something over Highway 9 because we love people to access the marina. And that would be, you know, I don't know if feral gas is going to go away and they put a lovely walkover bridge from the park to keep people safe, or they go underground. That'd be nice. But I don't think they'll go under the ground because of the water. And so ultimately, the gas station will come to its own obsolescence in time and maybe become a wonderful high-level convenience store with great steaks and cheese and wine. That's where I see it going. If I owned it, that's what I'd want to do. But, you know, that's the part of changing the face of a community that's in a resort zone. So you kind of want to nurture it to go better. And then Loaf and Jug will need to adjust.
So has Loaf and Jug responded to any of your correspondence? What has their feedback been on the
I
project?
haven't gotten a lot of feedback from Loaf and Jug at all. Loaf and Jug is owned by a European company. Now I've had conversations with the gentleman that owns the property that leases to Loaf and Jug. And, you know, he knows it's coming. So, you know, he doesn't love it, but, you know, he also switched from the gas and oil business into the marijuana business because of changes in his industry. So, you know, it's just progress, I guess.
Thanks. That's all I got.
You're welcome.
You know,
Can you talk a little bit about our question about the community space? And there
Yeah.
was something
We didn't touch on that.
in I guess our notes from the last meeting about how we asked for some signage.
Yep. Yep. So, Eddie, could we go to that screen or that part of the plan? So with the community space. Okay, there we are. So in the very front corner is a bench. And that's our art space, our community space offering right there. It's actually going to be a really lovely bench, an architectural bench. And that will,
You mind pointing to where she's talking about? Sorry, my mouse was hidden. Okay. Is this
that's
area?
it right there.
Okay.
So the reason that's there, somebody asked me, why would you have it on the east side of the building? Well, that's where the traffic of pedestrians are walking that way. It's a really nice spot to sit. It's not too much in the sun on a sunny, hot day. And then, of course, there's the bike rack. So as far as the courtyard goes, that's going to be a private space and that's going to be screened. So there's a community bike rack right there, and there's the I guess the bench, and then of course on the other side we have our restaurant patio.
On the other side?
Yeah, there's an existing restaurant patio.
Oh, okay, over here.
Yep.
Okay. And so what about the signage?
There would be probably a dedication on the seat would be nice. What kind of signage
There was
were
some-
you wanting specifically?
There was something in, I guess in your comments and also the stuff, all of the documents about that people know that that's a public bike rack. And specifically, I guess there was mention of a sign.
Where's the bike rack? I see the bench, sorry. Where's the bike
The
rack?
bike rack is further north. There's like 5-10 bikes in it.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, anybody walking out of Loaf and Jug as Loaf and Jug operates today will see that there's a seat. And a
So
bike
I'll
rack.
read you the comment in the staff report if that's okay.
Yeah,
Commissioner comment is commissioners requested signage indicating that the bike rack is for public use, and the response is, while there is no code reference for non-bike share public use bicycle parking signage, we can definitely notate public bicycle parking on Google Maps and coordinate with planning staff to include an aesthetically pleasing notice
great.
for the benefit of the site's pedestrian circulation, community space design. So I guess what does that mean?
Want an example of the sign? Like,
Well, I don't know what that means.
well, so Google Maps often offers places for parking, for e-parking, for charging your car. It could easily have notation for a bike rack location, and I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, I think an actual sign would work better.
well, and we can place a sign too, but until we get a building built, I mean, the signs.
I'm not asking for the sign today, but I guess I'm wondering how we memorialize that.
You can add a special condition that a sign get installed to identify the bike rack and bench as a public amenity.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd ask before you did it if the applicant is amenable to it, just to check.
Is that something you're amenable to?
I don't know. Depends how ugly it is.
Okay, well, I mean, it's up to you to come up with the sign.
Well, I have no problem, like I said in my notes, like how many benches around town have a sign on them?
I'm less
I'm just trying to understand.
less concerned with the bench than I am with the bike
Rack?
rack, and
Well,
also
it's
that we
there.
pointed
bike
it out
rack.
as.
People use
sorry,
them. People just use a bike rack.
Not when they're like in a location like that.
Opposite a public gas station where people are coming
Yeah,
and going all
that
day
doesn't
long, you
seem
don't
to
think
me
they're gonna
public.
think they can use it?
That doesn't scream to me public.
Are you a cyclist?
Yeah,
Okay, I ride bikes too. So,
okay,
I mean.
great.
Accessibility, like people, personally, I never put my bike in a bike rack. It's worth $10,000. I'm not gonna leave it anywhere. So, we can put a sign, I just don't know how you want it to look.
Okay, so I think that to me is yes, we're amenable to a sign. Okay. And then I guess my other question is the same question I asked of the staff, and that is, your parking doesn't meet the code without the bike lifts. Is that correct?
Without the car lifts,
Sorry. Is that true?
I guess so.
Yeah. I mean,
For the
Right.
number of spaces required per
for the number of spaces, you need those car lifts to meet the town code requirements for parking.
Yeah,
And so my concern is that those could be removed or not maintained.
we talked about that last time, and I just explained a little bit ago that I think the maintenance of the car lifts would be beneficial if the governing documents made them a common area maintenance requirement instead of an individual owner requirement.
Right, and I heard that, but I think something like a covenant that is recorded against the property would be more reassuring.
Well, I'd have to talk to the lawyer about that, so you're asking me to do something legal that I don't know about?
Yeah, but we made that comment at the sketch plan.
You just said you were concerned about the maintenance.
We made the comment at the sketch plan. It's one of the summary comments of the planning commission in the staff report, and I remember making the comment.
Understand,
Yeah,
understand.
I guess you've designed something that gets around the code. I don't doubt that it works.
Doesn't get around the code. There are parking lifts are used all over
They're not used that often, but
they're
okay.
used often, very
Okay,
frequently.
I don't want to argue with you. I'm not
I don't
trying
want to argue
with you.
either.
So like, can I just make my comment?
Sure.
So your parking doesn't work without those car lifts. I don't doubt that they will function for a period of time. I mean, I think what you submitted in the packet says 20 years, they should function. I guess to me, if we are going to entertain something that is not a typical parking space, and I'm okay with that in concept, I'm just concerned that in the long term, these could be removed or somehow not maintained. And that was why we brought up this idea of a covenant. And it just doesn't seem like it was reacted to in a formal way.
I think I really believe it's a maintenance requirement of the common area.
I agree with you.
So so let me give you an example. We have housing associations everywhere in Summit County. And in those housing associations, they have amenities and services that are provided to the community. And those communities don't work well unless they're being maintained properly. So here we are, we have a very small association of 6 owners potentially, and it's easier to maintain it as a community than to put that pressure on one individual owner is what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
And so therefore, I think it would be beneficial for us to work with the lawyer to have it as a part of our governing documents that make the maintenance of that equipment required.
Can I just jump in to help move this along a little bit?
Can you hang on one
Yep.
second? But we're getting back to, this is a code requirement. When you're talking about amenities like pools or whatever other amenities anybody comes up with, that's not required by the code. This number of parking spaces is required by the code.
Understand that.
Right.
And we have a solution for it. You just don't like the fact that it's using equipment.
No,
Being honest.
I'm just saying as part of this property in the long term, I get what you're saying about the HOA documents, and yes, that's one way to do it. I'm saying because this is a code requirement in perpetuity, I'm not sure that's a solution to the problem. So, but we can leave it at that. And if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna suggest a potential solution because the issue that Lena is identifying, right? She's making the distinction between, hey, like your pool, your common area amenity, your hot tub versus something that's like an actual zoning violation if it isn't
Understand.
maintained. And I know you understand that, totally understood.
Mhm.
One solution that Summit County does is they'll enter into an agreement with the HOA, and it's basically saying like, we can actually enforce on the HOA for this particular zoning violation. So just throwing that out as
Great.
something to be considered, and maybe we could make a condition that staff looks into that. I don't know, but just wanted to throw that out there as a suggestion.
I mean, it's like every other building in town that needs to remain in code. You got restaurants that change out and things happen and people do work without permits. So, it's about code enforcement overall. And if our governing documents are providing a solution for maintenance, which is the main concern for keeping that equipment operational.
My
rather
main
than
concern
putting it in the
isn't
hands of-
maintenance. My main concern is that over time, both maintenance and you meeting the basic code requirements for parking are not going to be met, or there's a potential. And we can't enforce HOA documents. We, the town, can't enforce HOA documents. So we would need our own enforcement mechanism to make sure that you're in compliance. Which
But
is-
isn't that what Jessica just said? That the
well, then, no,
county
that's something we need to add
to what?
as a condition of approval or something. We need to think about that. Same thing like with the signage and some other things that are just sort of kind of floating out there.
And I'd suggest, let's keep going with questions, because we also haven't heard from all the commissioners during the discussion yet. And if it does come up, I think we've heard some ideas. I also will say that times that we have been brought in to enforce some new buildings on parking, and we have had to go enforce them, and it comes up sometimes with short-term rentals, and we'll find out that where even if you have a garage with 2 spaces, they're not giving it to the renters or the storage. And we don't look at it at a planning commission standpoint at that point. But we do have the authority to make sure that they clean out that garage or that parking space and it does not have storage or a shed or another car of the owners in it. So we do, and code enforcement for the town go out and check. If we get a complaint, we don't go out and check them for no reason. But we do look at that and it is similar, though not the same, to we approve parking spaces all the time and we don't require maintenance or upkeep or even check to see if they're used for storage and not parking.
Right. And so, sorry. And so it's not about maintenance. Yes, the maintenance part of it is one aspect of it. And sure, if it's not maintained and it doesn't work, then there's a reason to remove it.
Well, but if it's not working and you remove it, then you lose your parking code. So I'm not sure
And then we
what
enforce.
the point is.
And so Katie, you're saying that there is a way that the town could enforce that
enforce
if
it.
you were to find out that they'd been removed,
Correct.
you could enforce that they be reinstalled. So that's basically what you're asking for.
Yeah, and I guess we can move on with questions. I'm saying that there could be an extra layer of protection because I understand there's site plans that we can enforce that they're complied with and whatever, but it becomes really hard. I have an elevator in my complex that is maintained by the HOA, and every 5 years or so, it's like, ooh, who owns that elevator? Can we take that elevator out? And there's nothing formal from the town approval or anything within the property record that says that elevator is required. And so it's just a point of contention because it's a question mark every time. I'm just saying if there's an extra layer of enforcement or something, then it could make that situation easier in the future. But we can go on.
Do you have any other questions?
Questions? No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ira?
Here, softball.
Pardon?
This is an easy one.
Okay.
I probably missed it on my part. The one-way part, is it gonna be Second Avenue coming in on Second and going out the other side, the one-way direction?
No, I would imagine that the traffic flow would come west on Main Street and come
So
through.
the people who are heading west would make a right at the first cut, at the first driveway they go in.
On the east cut.
That's not specified, Katie, which way the one-way goes?
It kind of
think it is.
is,
Let me
and it's
double-check.
the opposite way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is on.
There's an
here.
arrow going in on.
Civil
Second.
drawings. I'm pretty sure I saw. Yeah, right there, Ira. Arrows
Yeah, yeah.
pointing in adjacent to your property, which would then be out at the eastern curb cut.
How do we have the authority?
They'll be
to
in
do
on
a
Second
one
Avenue.
way on somebody else's property? I'm just
Right.
confused.
Yeah.
What you were saying is right.
Okay.
What's that, Jessica?
Oh, I was just wondering how we have the authority to do a one-way on somebody else's property and design their entrance, their entrance and their egress. And we haven't even gotten like communication from this person
If
that
it's-
they're doing this.
If it's
It
24
seems a little
feet,
odd.
it meets code for two-way.
Right.
So why are we
That's-
enforcing a one-way?
I don't know.
And how can we
Chris?
enforce a one-way on somebody else's property when we're not even in contact with them?
It's good questions what the engineer provided at this point. That special condition would cover it if the applicant decided to work with the engineer to change it, but it is what Chris McGinnis had redlined and marked up. They're excellent questions and points.
So engineering's recommending it, right? They can't
Correct.
enforce
They
it.
can't enforce it.
And it's gonna be up to a discussion as to how that goes.
But is it a condition for this applicant to create a one-way loop on a,
So the
Somebody
way
else's
it's
property?
written as a condition is
Just the same engineering and public works.
that number 3.
but I just wouldn't want them to have a condition they can't satisfy.
So that's why we wrote, if the applicant disagrees with aspects of the memos, then the building permit will get held up until everyone can compromise on it.
What if Loaf and Jug says no?
And the applicant won't be able to get a building permit potentially, or we'll talk to lawyers. The applicant has had a lawyer heavily involved also.
Ultimately, Loaf and Jug gets to make that call.
Yes, it's a
But
good-
it's
excellent
their
point.
property.
Yeah. because-
So to that point, that's why you're requiring it through the engineer, but we left that leniency that things could change. And if
Yeah.
it's compliance with codes and the attorneys find out, say it's not you don't need it per code, then it wouldn't have to be done. to your points.
It sounds like a question mark still as to if that's gonna happen. I mean, there,
Yeah, I mean, correct. I would say I hate to say it's out of the planning commission purview because I recognize the community cares how things go in and out, but in a way, it's not part of the application and what we can require either, as far
But
as
it is-
looking at the access. It is through there with a disclaimer that they can still negotiate, which they will be doing on the water line still too.
So should we just remove it from our findings? If they have to do it, whether for the town engineer to get their building permit, but I mean, if we put it on there and then they can't come to an agreement, then they can't get a permit because we've made it a condition of approval.
Well, if they can't come to agreement, they can't get a building permit either.
I know, but
I mean, I think it's written weakly enough that you can
that they can get out of it.
probably
Okay.
get out of it.
Which sort of makes it sort of a moot point.
Well,
for
it's
us.
actually
But-
not a road
but-
anymore. It's
Yeah, and I
private
guess it's
property.
more, it shows full compliance with codes. So what is the code requirement? Is it that we don't have to require it? Then you don't have to exempt it because then they're not gonna have to do it no matter what the engineer says.
Okay,
The
yeah, no,
water line question, the engineer has cited code specifically for. So I'd still like to keep that condition in there since that does take conversation still with the applicant in town.
Okay.
Yeah.
interesting question, but.
so here's a.
But it was a softball question.
Here, or maybe this one's easier.
Okay.
Once you get through this,
Yes.
is your intention to start as soon as possible?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done. Jessica, you're smarter than me. Go ahead.
No, not at all. I don't think I have any other questions.
I don't either.
Have
Not
we
a
seen a
bad end next time.
construction management plan, like where the construction fence is gonna be? We've talked in the past a great deal about closing parking spaces and
Yes.
losing parking on Main Street during construction. Do we
We have
know if they're proposing to?
Works has been updating their whole construction management plan documents needed, and they've been taking them in and really reviewing them at time of building permit submittal. So prior to building permit issuance.
So we don't get to see that.
If you want to start looking at it more seriously, we can, as planners, add it to a checklist.
Would there be a scenario where there is public parking that's utilized for construction? I'll ask the applicant. That's my question.
Working with a few other developers in town for setup and space to help us with putting the project together. We understand that it's very tight. Given the fact that there's a driveway there now, I don't think we'll be losing any public parking per se. So until we get to the logistics of putting the site together, we'll have a better understanding.
We've become rather sensitive about construction in the right of way.
No kidding. I tried to get into Frisco today and I blew by 9th. And then I thought I was winning by coming to Main Street, and then there was that. And I couldn't do anything until I could turn right on Madison. So, it is a little tight. Hopefully, the growing pains of the town will be forgiven once everything is beautified and operational.
But I guess to your point, that's not really in our purview to review a construction management plan. I was just curious if we had seen one for this project, because typically in the past, we've seen them at this stage.
And I do admit, it could have been in the plans in the packet. I focused strictly on 180 in our code requirements when I did my review 2 weeks ago. So I admit it could have been looked at by Chris Valdez in the past. She may have it. I just didn't focus in on it because it's not part of what we normally do at this stage. So,
Whose decision is it to approve the construction management? plan?
Public Works
Public
Director.
Works Director.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
Is there, right now there's parking for India Spice, but I assume that goes away during construction. Is there a mitigation plan for that restaurant, or is it just Main Street parking?
Well, like any restaurant or anything on Main Street, it's Main Street parking for retail. My concern are my upstairs residents, and I will have a place for them to go. So I just want to make sure the people that live there have somewhere to park.
Anyone else?
Any antennas?
Sorry, what?
Is that-
Any antennas that need to be mitigated on Main Street?
Just kidding.
Okay, so we'll close that portion and open it up for public comment. If there's anyone in chambers or online that has anything to say about this project, this is your chance. If you do have anything to say, please state your name and address and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Anyone? Nobody? No hands? Online? Okay. All right, we'll close public comment portion. And we'll move on to commissioner discussion before a vote. Kelsey?
I mean, I certainly have concerns over the lifts, and I know there have been projects in the past that put them in and have taken them out. So I think that has to be kind of eliminate any ambiguity as you can there. Gosh, it feels a lot like the come and go, that intersection. We all know that that's already a challenging intersection, but also not her fault that Loaf and Jug is there. I think Loaf and Jug, it's about time to kind of figure out a good kind of movement on their site in general, and maybe hopefully they'll be good neighbors and you all can work together.
Yeah.
I like how the plan has come together, and it's a nice infill project. So my two main concerns are the lift and being good neighbors with one another, and hopefully they want their business to succeed and we'll find ways to improve upon their circulation.
Thanks. Yeah, overall, just the way we've come on this. So thank you for working with and trusting the process. I'm sure it wasn't easy for staff or the applicant. So look at us now. Yeah, it does sound like, based on what staff has said, I think my concerns about the lifts are addressed. But I do agree, if there's room for clarity, I am in support of it. So we could discuss some additional condition. I do think it's a win, like a public benefit, when developers develop and then also add a public amenity. So I would be supportive, if my fellow commissioners agree, of just some small sign that says, you know, bike rack for public use.
Sure.
I'm sure you'd make it lovely. But if we want that, I do think we need to memorialize it in a condition. Yeah, I think that legally you know, build to your property line and where you're legally allowed, and there might be some issues and there will be evolution, and people will figure it out. But it is not ideal. I would have much rather seen this application come forward with, yes, and I have this letter from Loaf and Jug and this is our plan, and that's great. That would have felt a lot better for us as commissioners. So those are my thoughts. I'll pass it over to Ira.
I like your thoughts. I think a lot of what we're seeing is, as we get down the final stretch, sort of a developing Main Street, how much more and more difficult it's going to be, and how many hoops you have to jump through, and the existing infrastructure that's there and the existing buildings that are recently built just makes it more and more difficult.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the effort that you're putting in and your seeming willingness to respond positively to what we're asking. Thank you.
Definitely requires a lot of thinking and problem solving, and yet, you know, they do it in very busy places. And
Thank you. Lena, did you have any comments?
I mean, I think I've made my comments. I have had trouble with this project because of the plat note and the going above density and pushing some issues. I don't have an issue with the design. I think the design is fine. I'm not super concerned about the Loaf and Jug, to be honest. I mean, eventually the Loaf and Jug is probably going to go away, like you said. So not that I'm asking you for two, but it's a weird location for a gas station.
I agree.
So, I mean, some of these things are maybe details, but it does concern me when we lose sight of the details over time, that things don't get maintained, or carports or car lifts get taken out and things like that. And I think, to the degree that we can try to prevent that from happening, I'd like to try. So I would like to suggest a condition of approval related to signage around the public bicycle rack, because I do think on the side, not everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, bicycle rack there in that location. So it doesn't have to be a big sign. Doesn't have to, just a sign. And I guess, if you can help us come up with a condition that's worded correctly, that'd be great. And same thing with the carports not being taken out. I had suggested a covenant the last time, I guess that seems to
Car
be,
lifts.
sorry,
Yeah, I think you said carport.
Carports.
Yeah, the car lifts.
sorry, car lifts.
It's okay.
To me, it's in our purview because all we're doing is making sure that the code is met. It's not met otherwise. So I don't think it's any kind of an exaction or anything like that. And I guess a covenant is what I said, but whatever, it could be another word, an agreement. What did you say? What did you call it?
It's different
Some kind of a,
jurisdiction with a different
yeah.
standard process.
So I don't know what the right
If
document
the
is.
commission was gonna agree to do something, I would recommend the county approach. The covenant, I feel like makes me a little bit nervous without checking with our attorney first, so.
I mean, if we're gonna add a condition of approval, maybe we write it so that it's, some instrument, legal instrument to,
It could even be as simple, sorry to interrupt, like staff explore with their attorney, an
Exactly.
additional mechanism to whatever.
Ensure that they
Yeah.
remain
Yeah,
functional and in place.
yeah, whatever the attorney thinks is the right way. And if it's just explore it, I'm satisfied.
I kind of echo what you guys have all said. Like, I think you've come a long way. I think this will be definitely a good refresh of the lot. But I just think it's a very busy spot that's going to change pretty significantly. So
Kind
I-
of needs to change, otherwise it's always going to be a gravel pit.
yeah, and I fully support development and improving, but I guess Katie, from the town perspective, I know this is in engineering and public works hands, but like the town controls the right of way and the curb cuts. And so like, if that stops working with the use that's there, that becomes a town problem and not Loaf and Jug or Margaret's problem. Like, so I think that's where, I know this is outside of our purview, but like, this becomes our problem when it doesn't work later. And so just making sure that, I think you have it in there, but just making sure that it's addressed before digging. And I also think the water line is just, that looks like a big issue that might, again, outside of our purview, but a big issue that could shift how things look and like where some of the underground stuff is going, which could affect above ground. So nothing we're going to solve, but like all of this comes back to the town later. So I think you have the conditions in there, just going on record and saying could be issues.
I don't think I have any additional comments really, other than the fact that I'm looking forward to this no longer being a dirt lot. So that side of the east side of the building, I agree with making sure we have notification about the bike rack. I agree with the little clause that we want to put in to make sure that we're at least investigating the car lifts not getting pulled out. And otherwise, this has been a long road and I appreciate everyone's work on this.
Yeah, I mean, not much left to say. I think you guys have come a long way. I appreciate all the work you have put into it to get it to fit better on that site. I think that there are a lot of issues here that are outside of our scope and the hard part starts when you get in the ground.
Totally
So,
does.
I
Totally.
think that there are going to be some issues with it, but we've got a great engineering department and our building department will hopefully stay on top of this. I'm also in support of both the additional clauses for signage on the bike rack and to at least investigate how tight can we keep the enforcement of the vehicle lifts. But otherwise, yeah, I'm in support of, from a planning and zoning standpoint, you're there, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And I have two suggested conditions to think about the wording. One, prior to issuance of a CO, a sign shall be installed in the vicinity of the bike rack noting it is available for public use. And prior to recordation of a plat, I said recordation of a plat because it's in case it goes through HOA docs only per the attorneys. That's when we would be looking at them. Prior to recordation of a plat, staff and the applicant shall explore legal mechanisms to ensure car lifts are maintained and operable in future. Happy to take edits.
On the first one, I would just say, the signage one, like acceptable to county staff, just so there is like a final authority on that.
Yeah, and I guess on the second one, I don't know if you're trying, if that, you talk about the maintenance, but is there anything to say that they're not removed?
So I'll tell you why I have a slight hesitation, and it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. But in my head, I am curious if, let's say, in 15 years, the town no longer has, the town allows overnight parking on all of the streets in the central core. And therefore we change our parking requirements. Is it right to have them maintain lifts if they're not required in 20 years when the maintenance ends? That's where my brain is.
Here's
Yeah.
my concern with that. Our purview. is
Correct,
to
today.
Approve applications that meet the code today.
Today it
And
meets the
without
code.
something like that, I'm not sure that it does, because
Can we
it's
say
removable.
to say that they stay zoning compliant for parking or something like that?
That's true. We could do that.
We could.
Because
would
then
be a
that would
compromise.
cover if
Thank you.
they
Yes.
fall with.
Yeah,
outside of
because I don't
what
want to
our
make them
zoning is.
maintain them in 20 years if maybe the
Yeah, if
town
it's
has
totally
changed
different and we
it.
have a huge parking, whatever,
Yeah.
but like, I
That's
think
really-
just say
That's a
that
good
it,
perspective.
it remains in parking compliance for zoning for parking.
With
To
ensure
parking
car lifts are
requirements.
maintained and continue to comply with zoning.
Parking requirement.
Parking requirements for the property. Great. Thank you for doing that. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give it a shot. With respect to file number MAJ 26 0002, I move that the recommended findings set forth in the July 26, 2026 staff report be made, and that the recommended conditions set forth therein be taken with the addition of the two conditions, one related to signage for the bike path and the other bike rack. Oh my God. And the other related to the maintenance of the car lifts. And that the planning commission hereby approves the request for the major site plan application for a mixed-use development located at 121 East Main Street, 6-degree townhomes.
I'll second.
Kim, you want to take a vote?
Bill,
Yes.
Nesmus,
Yes.
Conley,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Tane,
Yes.
Forsythe,
Yes.
Withrow.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have fun getting in the ground out there. We'll be watching. Do we need a quick break or we want to dive right into the code discussions? This next agenda item.
I mean, I can take a break, but what's up to whatever.
We have, maybe
Maybe.
we'll try and get the first one done, and if we need
Okay.
a break after that. All right. So then we'll move on to our agenda item number 2, work session UDC 260002, drive-through facilities and tavern terminology. A work session to discuss proposed amendments to chapter 180 of the Code of Ordinances concerning drive-through facilities and tavern terminology. Emma?
That's me.
It's you.
And let us get our tech figured out.
Oops.
What is that?
All right. So today we're having a work session about limiting drive-through facilities in the town. And we're also throwing in removing references to taverns in the code. It's only referenced in 4 places and it's not defined. And we're just sort of like, why is the word tavern in these 4 places? So if you have questions and concerns about that, we can talk about it more, but I'm really going to focus on the drive-through.
Do we have discotheque in the code?
Huh? Discontent?
She's like, what?
Oh,
Disco.
discotheque. That's a good question.
Party girl over there.
Yeah.
I know, I'm gonna need my discotheque.
Is that our next,
Yeah.
that's our
Right,
next
covered.
work session? Where do we allow discotheques?
We get speakeasies in the.
I think you got a good site. You could put a little speakeasy in the basement there, honor some of the past, you know?
Where at the
Yeah, I can
time?
see an old
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
Just keep digging down. I hear it's fun. It's cheap. Ask Foots.
Focus, focus.
We can plan our Old West speakeasy. So this is just a quick reminder of the background. You did have a sort of brief work session about this in February. It was lumped in with some other topics. At that point, we heard from you that you wanted to prohibit drive-throughs on Main Street, including the mixed-use district, but allow them on Summit Boulevard. We then went to town council and talked to them a few days later. And coming away from that, our understanding was that they wanted to prohibit drive-throughs everywhere except the commercial-oriented district, which is most of Summit Boulevard, but not all of it. And possibly allow it as a conditional use in the mixed use and or gateway, but most of them said just prohibit it. Then we sort of heard that they wanted to talk about it again at a work session. So we figured we'd bring it back to you first to have a more robust work session on it in case you have more thoughts. And then we're going back to them for another work session, probably on August 11th. And then we'll come back to you to make a recommendation. And then we will do 2 readings with the council, if it all continues to move forward. As a reminder, before I go through the whole presentation, these are the main questions that we want you to discuss today. So the big one is which zoning districts should have drive-through facilities as permitted or conditional. And then we also want to know if you have any feedback on the proposed design requirements. We did have some code language drafted, so that was in your packet, and you can let us know if you have feedback about that. And then there was this specific language about the stacking space requirement that really came from the town attorney when he reviewed the code language to possibly allow some flexibility there. So we'll talk about that. And then just any other thoughts, questions, concerns you have about drive-throughs, we can discuss. So this slide we have in the table, it shows the existing drive-throughs in the town. So you can see they're all currently either in the commercial oriented district or the Lake Point PUD. The bottom left is possible drive-through uses, just sort of a reminder that it's not just fast food. And then the zoning districts that we want you to kind of focus on today. So the current feedback has been to allow drive-throughs in the purple, the CO district. And then gateway is orange, mixed use is pink. Those are the ones that we're thinking you might want to discuss. And then we also included the PUDs on there since a lot of those have their own requirements, and a lot of the mixed use parcels are also in a PUD. And then the Lake Point PUD is the one that doesn't have underlying zoning, and that's where a lot of our drive-throughs are right now. We also wanted you to think about a conditional use because that would just allow the Planning Commission more discretion on whether a proposed project is compatible with the area, the site design, the town's goals. So we do have the conditional use criteria if you want to, read that, but it's kind of far away probably.
Can I ask you a quick question before you move on?
Yeah, sure.
On the Lake Point PUD, like, we can't do anything about that, right?
No,
Okay.
they would have to come forward with a PUD
PUD amendment. Okay, just to clarify.
Mhm.
And sorry, just to clarify on the PUDs, are you saying like they would be like, so you're saying, okay, allowed in CO, it would be conditional in these other zone districts? And then can you clarify what you're saying about PUDs?
So the PUDs, like they have to come forward to amend their own PUD. So if there's limitations in the PUD about uses, that's in the PUD. So like, I guess you can tell a lot of the mixed use parcels that are in a PUD, or some of them are just residential. So I guess the point there is that even if you say that it's a conditional use in mixed use zone districts, there's still the PUD overlays on a lot of those that might have other.
So if you said it's a conditional use in mixed use zone districts, and then I have a mixed use PUD that's silent on drive-throughs, would it be allowed in that?
Yeah.
If it's silent on
If it's
drive.
on drive-throughs or commercial or like, yeah, if it just defers to the mixed use.
And the mixed use PUDs that it could potentially be allowed in are those with the slash.
The PUDs are the slash.
Yeah.
Mixed use is peak.
So yeah, so the mixed use PUDs would be the ones that have the slash and the pink, and it would potentially be a permitted use in all of those zone districts because that's a mixed use PUD.
A conditional use.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I
So
guess
some
we don't
PUDs
know.
Could
Okay.
say it, some might
PUDs.
not.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it depends.
it
if
would
the
be a
PUD
conditional use.
If it does not talk about it. you
Silent on it.
revert to the zone underlying zoning.
Okay,
If that PUD talks about drive-throughs being allowed or not allowed, you have to follow the PUD.
got it.
So first you look at the PUD. If there's no info, you'll go to the underlying zone district.
Right now, it's not allowed.
It is allowed in
In
the,
the mixed use,
In mixed use, it
Sorry.
could be if the primary use wanted it. Yeah.
So it's allowed in the pink.
currently.
Yeah, there's no limits on drive-throughs by zone district right now.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Thank you.
But
Got
if
it.
we were uncomfortable with all of those like pink
Yeah.
slashed, we could say prohibited in mixed use PUDs unless specifically allowed by the PUD. Or is that
No,
not an
right.
option?
You would just say prohibited in mixed use
Use.
or allowed or conditional
Okay,
everywhere that's pink. You can't dictate the PUDs
okay. Got it.
Unless they're silent. But anyway,
unless they're silent.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
but it's not allowed on Main Street. As a
That's
in the
why-
zone district, central core.
Right
whatever.
now, it would be actually, but
Oh,
that's why the
Well, we-
council asked us to initiate this, because you could technically come in and put a drive-through on Main Street right now per zoning.
Or
Yes.
zoning.
It doesn't mean you have the space for a traffic queue and all that, but you could use-wise.
yeah.
Is the loaf and jug considered
Main
Great
Street,
question.
Yeah, the way,
qualify as a drive-through right now?
no.
Not the way it's.
I mean, it's an in and out. right?
now,
It's,
no, well, actually, right now, I don't think fuel is
So it has to do with the
exempted.
use that you're driving through. What, like, it has to do if you're pulling up to a window, is that sort of
Yeah.
what triggers it? So it's not that you've got two access points necessarily.
No.
No.
It's if you're pulling up to a window.
Okay, sorry, maybe another dumb question, but why aren't we talking about Main Street or Central Core today?
I guess we thought we heard pretty clearly from everybody that you want to prohibit it in central core.
Okay.
So that's why we just
this is
scrapped
the
it.
question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. So if you want to bring central core.
No,
back
no,
up,
no.
we
Do,
can.
is that what you're arguing?
No, just like, what happened?
Go on
The
the
ones
record.
that we think you might want to discuss.
Discuss these further because these are in question. Nobody fully agrees. Okay, got it.
Lake Point PUD do they talk about driveways? They say yes.
Yeah, so the Lake Point PUD is broken up into stages, and the stage of the PUD that's along Summit Boulevard allows drive-throughs
Okay.
specifically. Yeah,
Okay, but only along Summit Boulevard.
yeah, like
Oh,
the
good.
deeper into the PUD, they're not allowed.
Okay.
What's their underlying zoning?
Nothing.
The purple.
They
It's
didn't.
just the PUD.
It's not normal and it's not the
Right.
way it should be. It's
How
just
did
the
that
way it
happen?
happened.
Just in the 90s, like somebody bought up a bunch
It
of
was
land.
the
like,
90s.
"Oh, Then we're gonna put up a 10-story building. Cool.
We give ourselves
I mean,
permission to.
With a green roof.
Yeah. It's not normal to not have an underlying zone.
Okay.
Could you,
I mean, I've never seen a PUD as an overlay, but
Can I just ask this one more time, just so I'm clear on this? So the mixed use are, the pink.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the PUDs, have the hashed on it.
Yep.
And so if we say that it's conditional in mixed use, then it would be conditional in a PUD, even if the PUD doesn't specifically allow it.
correct.
If
If the
a-
PUD is silent,
Right,
Then it would be
correct.
conditional use.
If it says prohibited,
It would not
Then
be
it would
allowed.
be-
They would
Got
have
it.
to come in and ask to change it, but they would be, they could come in and ask to change it if we approved it as a
They
condition.
got together and.
might a PUD already existing say it's allowed?
it depends
Sure.
on the PUD. They're all different.
Lake Point does.
like Lake
Oh,
Point,
Lake
where
Point.
Taco
But only,
Bell,
but only along some of,
yeah,
yeah.
So
Taco Bell, Wendy's, McDonald's and Starbucks. It's all in Lakewood. Oh, sorry, in KFC.
Mhm.
Can you move the magic mouse on the McDonald's going in at First Bank?
Man, you really wanna
Yeah, let me,
contention, huh? We're gonna
Miss
put some
Allen.
black records. McDonald's.
I think it's this property.
Well, I don't see the mouse moving.
Up there.
Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay.
But it's over the stripes.
Right about there.
Right about there, huh?
That's where McDonald's is going to be.
Yes.
They're almost ready.
They're almost ready. They're cruising. Yeah, they are. So it seems like we don't want to have it in mixed use, right? Is that kind of what we had discussed last time?
Yeah, we said the entire length of Main Street and those
Right.
pink areas on Main Street are mixed use.
But then you also have the pink up on Summit Boulevard, but
The hot
no,
pink.
that's residential and what, like the veterinarian and stuff right there? Is that kind of where that is?
What
That's
about that
where like
parcel where the old
Safeway
Mexico
and
is?
Walmart.
Yeah, okay.
Is, that is like literally on the interstate.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
here.
You're like,
Oh,
if it had
Dunkin'
a
Donuts is a
something to
drive-through.
grab to
You just
eat
reminded me.
there.
And the other one's the bank. Is there any
To
other
me,
one?
the like mixed use feels a little more like conditional.
To me, mixed use is no.
Well, here's the one for me that I thought was interesting is one of the drive-through facility additional language that we're talking about putting in is no stacking lane or service window shall be located within 50 feet of any residential property line. And to me, that kind of means that we don't want them near residences, and mixed use is by definition residential, at least a portion of it. Right? So to me, there's a conflict there. If we did allow it, even conditionally in mixed use, we're essentially allowing it within 50 feet of a residential property.
Well,
Because
I
it's
guess
on a residential property. if it's
Usually-
Mixed use.
in our code, it says that mixed use follows non-residential, so I don't know if. we
Follows
would-
both though, doesn't it?
Non-residential design districts, design
It
standards.
also has to follow residential standards if it's mixed use. It has to follow both.
It
doesn't
follows the non-residential development standards only.
Yeah.
To me, that means, but it still means that we're trying to keep it away from residential properties. So to put it on a property that has residential use seems contradictory to me. And to me, that sort of argues for sort of what April said. I don't think it really belongs. Wronski is an interesting one. That's the one property in all of that pink where I'd be like, okay, maybe it's
I
appropriate
just
there.
feel like because it's still in a commercial kind of element, thus the name mixed use. To me, it seems like a case by case for a conditional use. They're like, hey, this is a really unique property and it sucks that you're outright prohibited, but then
Mhm.
with kind of the understanding of like, it's up to the discretion of the staff and the commission to say if this is appropriate to the vicinity. And it could just be outright like, nope, you're within 20 feet of the residential. We're not going to grant you that. And that could start at
If it's
staff.
Upstairs.
That could start
But
there,
around
you know?
Well,
it's
but
conditional
if
in
they
those
came
areas.
in mixed use, they would have to be at
They
least
could.
20%. They would have to be at least 20%.
No, it's 20%
residential.
commercial.
Well, it's minimum of 20% either. So it's 80.
Oh.
So it's either 50-50 or you can go to 80-20, but you have to have at least 20 of
Yeah,
of
that's
one or the
true.
other. So you'd have to have at least, unless we. give
Can you
another
do
condition.
some conditional use though that you say you can trigger conditional use if you don't have residential within? Is that absolutely not something you do?
Hmm.
If you want less than 20% residential, you'd be applying for that commercial use anyway. So you'd basically be looking for the conditional use, no matter what.
Which we've
So-
been reluctant to we've let
Yeah.
other projects go below the 20%. But we've been sort of insisting that you have at least some.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least in the case that we've been seeing is that people want to do solid residential.
Like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, the mixed use, how detrimental to our, income streams to not have drive-throughs like I would feel like on Summit Boulevard. Like to me, that's part of our revenue and our
Yeah.
taxes to have the McDonald's and the drive-throughs, and that's the appropriate place.
Right.
Like I don't feel like, oh gosh, this is detrimental. I just feel like there's a couple that could trigger
Well, I guess
like
So wait, I have a question.
deserving of a conditional use, but not most of them.
If you,
We're already-
if you had a mixed use say we don't like them on mixed use. And you have a mixed use property like the Wronski, it's a good example. Or the B lot. And you wanted to come in and put in a PUD that allowed the drive-through. Could you do that? Or are you not in compliance with the underlying zoning, therefore not allowed?
You could go through a PUD to get a different use potentially, but our PUD incentives are either affordable housing or park open space. And so you wouldn't have the right reasoning to be doing a PUD per code right now.
What if they said?
So you can't just initiate a
Starbucks
PUD
with apartments.
process?
And if
With
it was
affordable
affordable housing,
apartments.
they'd have to do that. What's that?
You can't just initiate a PUD.
You
Really?
either follow the open space, so it used to only be with the open space track, and then we added the affordable housing track also.
So how did all those other PUDs get created?
It was all back in the
90s.
day.
It was the
Different time.
90s? Those planners were slacks.
And just to
So wait,
clarify,
go ahead.
like the mixed use PUDs that allow it, it's gonna be allowed no matter what.
Correct.
So like if it's
matter
already allowed by the PUD, it's already allowed by the PUD. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. If it's conditional in mixed use, are you still under the requirement that you have to have the stacking
For the parking?
per code? No, for the queuing.
Yeah, you'd have to.
So it's not feasible technically in most of the mixed use area.
If you don't have the land area to provide, you still have to
Right.
comply with all town code requirements for parking and queuing
Yeah.
and setbacks and
All
everything.
that.
Would we be writing new criteria for that conditional use? Like, or is there already language in the code that we would say, like, when right now,
You can impose conditions.
You'd have to meet those.
you'd have to meet
criteria.
these
the
conditions to show it's.
Yeah,
Well, you have to meet the criteria, but you can impose conditions.
Correct.
You can add.
yeah.
But they're already in there as part, like, well, right, we could add some, but this is what's in there. If we
This is
just
so
said
you
it's a
have to
conditional
comply.
use,
You have
you'd
to
have
meet
to
the
come in and say
criteria.
that these are the criteria you have to meet. So
Yeah.
it's not some new criteria we'd be inventing
No,
for this type of conditional.
but you
uses.
can
But
always
there
impose
is
conditions.
proposed additions in the code that
Right.
describe it. So vehicle stacking requirements, site design. So I bet Emma, you have more of a presentation.
I think it's fine if you want to just
No, no.
discuss the zoning districts first.
I know, I like
You
that.
want to talk through the site design, like go through all of it and talk about it all?
I
Or do
think
you
we
want to
need to talk
decide
about
about
this
some
on
stuff?
Mondays.
I feel like, okay, can I just initiate a conversation about the zone districts? Cause I kind of like what council did. If you don't mind going back to that, which is, they said, we don't want to have, we said we're okay with drive-throughs in Gateway, and they said no. Is that correct? And I kind of like that. I kind of like no drive-throughs in the orange. I'm okay with the drive-throughs in the pink, the hot pink.
Mhm.
But I also don't like them in the mixed use.
Purple.
Sorry, whatever. I don't know. Purple's good, orange, no, pink, no, according to me. I don't know what you guys else.
I'm exactly in alignment there.
Okay.
I feel like,
agree, but I feel like exit 203 is gonna change the orange.
Yeah, so hopefully in a
But that's-
good way without drive-throughs.
I don't know if there's enough in the gateway to add in.
To add.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
same with like the mixed use, I could give or take if we make it conditional, but I feel like the gateway, now that there's that additional road that's gonna be there and an additional roundabout, I feel like you're squeezing the limit too much, adding in driveway or drive-throughs in there.
I agree.
yeah, and you know, but
Just the purple.
to me, the mixed use, I mean, most of what we're seeing is Main Street. And we talk about not wanting it on Main Street. And the more I think about it, Wronski even, I don't know that I want to open that can of worms.
Yeah,
I think that,
See, and
Slippery
sit
slope.
down.
I think
Makes
that's our entrance.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
not where we want the tourists getting off.
that's everybody getting off of Copper, coming from Van.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not where they should be
But
putting.
we want them to continue on Main
agree.
Street.
Yeah.
Fully agree. I don't want that
eat
either.
and grab a McMuffin from there and get back on the highway. We want them, if they are gonna use.
Muffin from there might bring in a lot of tax revenue and deal with the congestion on Main Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if we made it conditional in there, I wouldn't be upset either way, but, cause you're like, what if it was a cool coffee shop or something, like, I don't know, like, we always think it's just this commercial bad, you know, like corporate.
So it
And
would be
like-
up to us for how high that bar is.
Yeah,
For whether or not we would grant that condition.
Yeah.
Of course,
But-
we're not all gonna be here for.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it just is like, is there an avenue if it's prohibited and everyone's like, wow, this is something super cool, you know, like, is there a way to make it work? You know, if it was like a unique legacy property like Foots Rest, where it incentivized the overlays, those and that, you know, and we got a lot out of that. Whereas like if we prohibit it, are we eliminating something that could be cool down there?
They could add affordable housing and do a PUD.
Got it.
Yes. Or you could do a really cool coffee
But then
shop
it's
that
too
you
close
just
to
park at.
residential.
Just park, yeah, just don't have it be a drive-through.
Right. Yeah,
I will say on that note.
fair. I
I'm-
mean, get out of your car, yeah.
I know,
This is Main
I
Street.
know that we all think about drive-throughs like I'm thinking when I hear drive-through, it's like the McDonald's in your car, right? But I know during the pandemic, people started to come up with like, well, what about walk-up windows? And what about, the kind of where like, you can't go in, so you go in and pick up a drink or whatever. So I don't know, people started coming up with different ideas. Or I've heard there was an application in Silverthorne where drive-throughs weren't allowed. So they said, okay, well, what if it's like, you park your car for 10 minutes in front of Chipotle and you pick up your to-go order that you ordered on your phone. And what about that? Is that a drive-through?
No.
And like,
So.
okay,
That's a
so,
drive-through.
no, I'm just saying like, people are coming up with
But
like,
somebody might come up with something creative, and I think that's Kelsey's point. Is if somebody came up, we can set the bar really high for granting a conditional use in the mixed zone, mixed use zone.
And just keep saying,
basically-
no, 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 no,
It's an
no.
uncomfortable place to put future planning commissions in is the only point. Like, if you're like, oh, well, the bar could be really high, but like, once somebody's spent all this money and gone through staff and they're presenting this application, like, you do want to generally. So I'm just saying, like, even though that is the process and it would be the planning commission making the decision, once you allow it, even as a conditional use, you do kind of open that door.
People assume that they can find a way through something.
Yeah, I could say
Yeah.
no now and do an amendment in 20 years after we see what the growing pains look like,
Always
and
a
where
process.
Frisco is, and say, maybe that does need to change now, and that's something 20-year from us people want to see.
there's always.
These things are evolving.
I
It's
get-
not like it's permanent.
And I
Yeah,
could
you can always do a variance or some kind of a rezoning effort or whatever if you feel very strongly about.
you're gonna get a variance for a fast food restaurant?
I mean, I don't know.
But-
I'll also remind you before you can keep going, but it is, you're just making a recommendation, don't forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, sorry, we're not even
not
making
even
a
at that
recommendation
work
yet. We're
session.
Just a
you're
work-
giving.
You're saying we
feedback for
can
us to
move
tell
on.
them good
Yeah.
to-
okay.
Because we'll tell them there are differing opinions in there. It sounds like the planning
Are there?
commission at
Yeah,
that point
consensus.
recommend.
Are there differing opinions?
We have,
How
I think we could go with what they recommended. I'd be
So
comfortable.
prohibit drive-throughs in the mixed use.
Yeah, I'm for that.
And gateway.
And gateway.
CO, yeah,
But
that,
definitely.
sorry.
I'm not as opposed in Gateway. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Okay, but-
Differing opinions on Gateway.
Okay.
Can I ask
Accept
one
the
quick question about the zoning? I don't even know, is Lake Hill still happening?
Yes,
And
in 20 years.
and
Or
is
45.
that part of Gateway or is that a separate? Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, that's all right.
It would have its own,
It's its own thing.
outside
Okay.
of
It's in-
town.
well, but it would have to get annexed to happen, right?
No, it can stay in county jurisdiction.
Oh, it's just gonna use our utilities.
Next topic.
Amenable to workforce housing.
All right.
Okay.
Drive-through design requirements.
Mhm.
What feedback do you have about that? There was some discussion about the 50-foot. Is
I've
that
got
too
one comment on that
unreasonable?
one.
Yeah.
I
that's-
think there is something in the chart, I don't know where it is in yours, but in this chart that was in our packet that
Mhm.
says, 5 stacking spaces per drive-up window.
Yep.
And what we saw at McDonald's was that they have one drive-up window, but 2 kiosk lanes. So it makes me think that what we're really talking about is 5 stacking spaces per kiosk lane, not per drive-up window.
I see what you're saying.
Like per order.
Right, that's what we did over there is that, because those, you have 2 lanes, but it's only 1 window. So we want 5 stacking spaces per
Lane.
lane, which is governed by kiosks, not by window.
Yeah, by sort of order kiosks.
Order
Is that what-
kiosks is
okay.
what we're really talking about for stacking spaces, not drive-up window.
I
mean,
saw
and what
3
if you
lanes the
order-
other day.
What's that?
What if you order on
Three
your
And
phone?
you're not
drive-through
driving through.
lanes.
You might be to pick it up.
I had 3 drive-through lanes the other day
At where?
What?
in Denver.
Oh.
There's a Chick-fil-A that has order.
And how many
order.
windows?
Well, I'm saying, so think about how you could always have 3.
Well,
No,
but we only allow 2,
Okay, thank you.
but, but how many windows?
A lot of date on this one.
With,
It just
with
depends
3
on-
kiosks, how many windows were there? Were you all funneling into the same
Well, I
window?
didn't even go there, but I noticed it because it was so big.
Well, that's true. I think when we were interpreting it, there were actually 3 windows. Cause there was like an extra window, like an overflow
The
window.
windows, like,
So we went off of the kiosk stations rather than the. order window.
that's all I think is it, when
Okay.
we're talking about stacking spaces.
That
we're
sound
talking
okay
about
to
kiosk
everybody?
lanes.
Kiosk. Yeah. Order station, kiosk,
Yeah.
something. Okay.
That was my only
Anything
comment.
else on the design?
Well, I mean,
I might just
Yeah.
need to see a diagram at some point because I don't know what we're talking about.
She doesn't do design.
Pull up the McDonald's application.
So it's like
That one,
Here,
get a
the-
picture.
your kiosk is here and then your kiosk is here and then you have 5 spaces.
So like
Yeah,
the
three.
McDonald's, they go
Look,
through
there's-
2 lanes. There's 2 places ordering and then they funnel into a single, yeah.
Yeah.
You know how like you pull up at the McDonald's even in Silverthorne and there's
Yeah.
2 things and then they both come into
Only
one
Okay.
lane.
know where you
I
pick up.
gotta get more fast food.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're eating appropriately.
She sounds like I trust you guys.
Sweet
We're
food.
good.
Yeah, no, I think Andy's got it.
Yeah.
Although, but I do like your previous comment about the, whatever that was about the being close to a residential zone. Like, I think that maybe needs to go away.
Well, it shouldn't be in there that says it couldn't be within 50 feet of a residential zone.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was no stacking lane or service window shall be located within 50 feet of a residential property
Would
line.
McDonald's be approved?
I didn't measure it.
But it probably.
Like across
50
the right of way.
Measuring
That's the
2
roads.
on
I
this
think it would
site.
be long.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's the metric here?
Well, because
Are you measuring
Drive
to-
would be we from the property line? Property line?
Wait, what?
Would it be from the property line or from the actual edge of asphalt of the lane?
I think from. Wait,
I
where?
think we can handle this with the zone districts. If we get the zone districts right, then that takes care of this.
Yeah.
Within 50 feet of a residential zone, so maybe we don't need
So
that.
maybe we don't need it
I feel like that one is gonna be trouble.
unless
Well,
this is in the design requirements, so it would still apply to the Lake Point PUD. I think, right, for those people. who-
what I was gonna say, if somebody was in that commercial, the orange on Summit Boulevard, you could have residential potentially above those units. And therefore, it would be applicable, you would be limiting it
Well, you,
more.
if you do want to leave it, it probably needs to be more clear. It just says 50 feet from the stacking lane. That stacking lane's 50 feet long all by itself. So are we talking about the tail of it? Are we talking about the kiosk? Like, it does open
closest
yourself up for
Probably.
interpretive
Yeah.
dance.
If something was kept in there for a first question, does the commission think there should be a distance separation?
I find it to be a well-intended but potentially problematic requirement.
Yeah, I agree. I like just designated in and right
Arbitrary.
zone district.
And if you happen to live right next to that zone, you
But
know
in
where
the
you
case
bought.
Of if you buy in the Main Street corridor on Summit Boulevard, you just have interface with commercial. Like you
Yeah.
chose to buy into these districts that have use by rights and you need to understand that.
I think the overall concern from us coming out of McDonald's conversation was more just like, let's make sure this use doesn't appear on Main Street. It
Yeah,
wasn't
agreed.
like movement
From planning
from the
commission,
public.
that
for
I
me,
agree.
At least.
Okay.
But we're definitely keeping the word tavern. I'm real strong.
I want to add discotheque,
We're just not taking it up.
like club. is
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna start a tavern.
And nothing else on the design, requirement part.
So does it,
We can also
Say-
talk more when we come back for
You know,
recommendation.
I think one question on that. There was something about is likely as my
Yeah,
note that I
that was
made.
gonna be my comment on, it says
Yep.
stacking lanes must be designed so that no idling vehicle is likely to ever extend into a public street, alley or sidewalk. Yeah, I think maybe there's a way to reword this so that like your 5 stacked spaces are on the property.
Which
not
would be
in-
the requirement. So, and this kind of goes with the other language that the attorney suggested that if we're gonna say this in this section about no idling vehicle being likely to go into the right of way, that we should change the stacking requirement to also be more flexible so that you could require more than 5 spaces if you're worried about it. So as staff, I think we're a little unsure about both of those because it introduces some ambiguity and we're not sure how you decide you need more than 5 stacking spaces. But if you like having the ability to require more than 5, we can do that.
That seems
Boy, that's a
arbitrary.
lot.
What are we gonna say? Like, if it's a restaurant that we all like and we all plan to go to,
Don't like
there's gonna
that.
be 7 of us. Yeah, I feel like 5.
Should be a violation, so you wouldn't do that.
It's 10 years.
Commission, who's a little bit violation.
I prefer code language that's written more clearly.
We agree, so.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep it as just 5 stacking spaces, no ambiguity there, and then probably just remove that statement about
Likely.
vehicles being likely to extend into
Yeah.
the right of way.
Are stacking spaces defined somewhere dimensionally?
I think they're the same as a parking space.
And
That's
it-
what I
and
have in my head from
So that's
McDonald's.
clear somewhere at 18.5 feet.
I don't know if
believe
it's
so.
clear, that's
We
how
can
we've
double check.
interpreted it, like, that's how we
I mean,
read
it's-
it, but it's a good
So
question.
somebody's
if
not
it's
like,
clear.
well, it's compact lane.
Yep, no, you're right,
And
yeah.
I guess just because we're talking about this, how did you arrive on 5 for the stacking spaces?
That's what was in the code before. That's already in there.
Okay, and we
So
feel
we
that
can
that's
change it.
sufficient? No, I don't know. I just, do we feel that's sufficient number of stacking spaces?
I don't
A
think we
lot
really
of
researched
drive-throughs
it.
and personally, I can tell you, I've never been backed up in a queue and I've hit a lot of them with my child. I'm sorry, I do not have healthy eating habits. But I can tell you out of all the ones I go to in the evenings, regularly, I've never been in any
that are
drive-through
like
line
10
that's
deep.
more than 2.
Yeah.
Like in maybe
feel-
Starbucks in the morning.
Yes.
That's the
Starbucks. I was
one I
just
think
gonna
that's
say
probably the
Starbucks.
worst.
I
Yeah.
was just like.
Yeah, it feels like the coffee places need to.
They are
speed
the
up.
ones that have a lot. of-
AI, baby.
The fast food's
So
going
good
fast
point.
enough.
It's okay, but
Coffee
Starbucks
places very
used to have
slow.
long lines of more
Good
than.
morning, I don't know about.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
no big answer for you, sorry.
That's good.
I think 5 is
That
sufficient.
seems reasonable unless we start to see a problem, in which case we can address it.
Autonomous vehicles, getting people their drive through and.
Yeah, you
Well,
can.
Well, I'll be wearing jetpacks and my dreams will finally come true.
DoorDash.
I don't have jetpacks.
Personal drones, that's what I want.
Okay.
What do you want?
Personal drones. I just want my own drone that drops me off.
Jetpack's similar.
Oh, it's a,
That sounds more fun.
like a.
Yeah, I think that was it. You could get a little, but I want to shoot my out.
Oh,
Park
it's
in the air.
entire-
Oh,
Okay, anything else for
way into
drive
the
throughs?
future.
No, I'm good.
What happened with taverns?
We're keeping them.
Do you want to talk about, we can talk about town.
I mean, I don't know what the issue is,
The,
like taverns.
Just random word
just
3
the, like,
times.
why is this in here if we have restaurant defined?
It's the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're not.
For a
not-
while, I wondered if tavern was defined separately and that's why it was called out, but there's no definition for tavern.
It's apropos to our area.
is there a
There's-
definition for bar?
No, but I think, if you Google bar, it's an establishment that serves drinks. So it is different than a restaurant. That was my thought process.
Colorado law requires them to sell food.
But we do have bar, or we don't have bar in the
The
code?
word bar is still in the,
Okay,
throughout the code,
got it.
but I don't think there is a definition.
There's no definition, I just checked.
Seems like
So
bar
maybe
and
we-
tavern are
Bar.
the same thing.
Interchangeable.
Yeah, so.
So keep tabs.
Interesting.
Like this, the tech is different.
Definitely.
So maybe we just put bar in the
Bar
and
part
tavern.
of the
I
restaurant.
mean,
definition.
did you get the direction that you needed from us on
Yeah, I
tavern?
think. s-
Get
She's
rid
like,
of
"Well, you
them."
just
And
stop
a bunch
talking
of
so I
other
can do
stuff
what
you
I
didn't.
want."
We'll look at entertainment centers next.
Okay, oh, boy, we
Let's
need
go
a
with
break.
that guy. Right. What else?
Sorry, this one's a little more of a brain one. We're on
Do we
land.
need, I guess a work session, do we need to open it up public comment?
It's more brain, like it's gonna hurt, so you
Yeah.
saved it for the end.
Especially
Let's
if you
give
feel
it
like
stuff.
my brain right now.
It was to give Katie a break in the middle and she.
Well, I lost my Zoom link here, sorry. Let me close some stuff first. And I admit, just like the last presentation, I didn't, and like everyone I do with you, I didn't have time to look at this before. So I wrote it before the last planning commission in early June. So it's some of it I'm gonna read and have to think a little about what I'm asking if you have questions, but I know I'll come to it. It's just not fresh in my head. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. This is your first conversation on this. We're not looking to be just going to discuss it with council right away or anything. What happened is we have state legislation that came into effect this year. And so because of that, we have to bring certain parts of our town code related to primarily xeriscaping, turf, things like that into compliance. So we could have taken the easy way and just put in a few definitions and clarifications. But our landscaping has been flagged for a couple of years to take a look at. So we really didn't want to just make it one change or a couple little changes when we really know that we probably have an outdated landscaping code. So what we maybe made the wrong idea of doing based on time right now is rewriting the landscaping regs in entirety and trying to make them more modern. The other part of why it helps to do that is because the state wildfire resiliency code has been adopted, and that has the defensible space. And we'll go through this briefly, but basically from 0 to 5 feet from a structure, you can't have any landscaping, shrubs, trees, anything. And you can't even have branches going to that 0 to 5 feet. So here we are in town code for landscaping, telling everyone they have to put all these trees and shrubs in, and they don't have a lot with an area to put them in. And now we don't know what to do with them because we don't want to say no trees and have no trees coming in new developments, but we also have to recognize that the defensible space zones have to be they're required to be implemented. So what we're trying to do is look to you to help us come up with some ideas of how we should draft this. We have a draft, but we have questions we need to finalize, and we just don't know what to do with it. And it really is coming up with a balance of water conservation, aesthetics, having tree, and then the environmental positives of having trees and shrubs that we all know, while also looking at wildfire resiliency. So we're trying to balance those three things and come up with what is best with the town. And as staff, we just don't have, it's not something I can just say. We all, even in town hall, have different ideas of trees or no trees, save water, or have the vegetation that requires water, or find balances. So what we have for you tonight is a series of questions that we're just hoping you'll give us some direction. Then we'll go back, we'll fill in the blanks on the draft we wrote, and then we'll come back to you at another work session. We'll discuss everything we put together. A lot of what we're doing, we're not just writing it, obviously, from our heads. We used some of Silverthorne's, and then we actually ended up liking Summit County's a lot, which is interesting because now Sally said they're changing it. So I gave her ours after I copied theirs. And so I don't know who has a good one, but we've taken other local jurisdictions and tried to draft them into what we're going with. But we do hope to get your feedback and guidance on some of these topics just to help us out. I'm going to skip some. We're going to get to each one. So, all right. So consideration, we want to remember the intent of the landscape regs is to manage environmental risks and also maintain community character. Positives of landscaping to keep in mind is aids in drainage, stabilizes slopes, provides buffers, and increases property values and enhances neighborhood curb appeal. So we obviously want landscaping. We don't want to just say, let's get rid of everything and be more wildfire resistant. So very briefly, this state Senate bill, the primary intent was to reduce outdoor water demands by limiting the amount of non-native cool season high water use turf. This did not apply to new residential development, but it required all towns replace the practice of installing non-functional high water use turf grass with water-wise landscaping. And I'm just going to keep going, and then some of your questions probably will get answered during the next few slides. So the primary intent, so then they did that Senate bill. Then they came in the next year and they made this House Bill 25-1113. The primary intent of this House bill was to expand the requirements of the Senate bill. So here they added a definition for what functional artificial turf is and also non-functional artificial turf. They defined compliance to include new and redeveloped multifamily development with more than 12 units. And remember, before it didn't count residential at all. So now it's effective for 12 and more units. And it required communities to adopt standards that prohibited non-functional artificial turf. And so you've got those two bills were required to bring into compliance. We actually already legally were supposed to, so we're a bit behind, but yeah, I think everybody is, and I feel like we're okay. Then you have the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code. Now, this is a humongous document, and I'm just pulling out very brief bits of it for you. But basically, the objectives include protecting structures against embers and establishing defensible space. So through this, for example, you can't have wooden fences within 8 feet of a structure. Well, now we are our town code isn't even in compliance for fences because we want wooden fences in code language. So that you'll see that coming too. But and then materials we're working on the building code side. The other one connected to landscaping to really think about is that red circle closest to this house is 5 feet. You can have no trees, shrubs, or branches in this area. And then from the 5 to 30 feet is the intermediate zone where you can have, it's spelled out, but trees or clumps, you can have some things. And then we didn't propose 2 zones because most of our lots are not this big. We're just proposing the 3. The biggest concern that we want you to be thinking of is this 5 feet, knowing that through the state, we're not supposed to have any vegetation in that area. And keep that in mind as you're thinking about what we require and how we require it for small properties.
So not grass.
I don't think so. We'll get back. I have it in here and that's where my brain can't remember, but thank you.
Not mulch.
I think it's only gravel and things. I'll find it if it's not in my presentation, because that is an extremely important question.
You get there.
Yeah.
Plenty of flowers.
Katie, can I ask
my
quickly? So you have limited land to
Mhm.
put in what you wanting to put in, but you don't have enough land for the landscaping. Does that de facto make you think about shrinking your building?
It could, it very well could, which is what you also have to keep in mind. We had as staff, and I think I took this out because we talked about it and realized maybe it wasn't a good idea. We talked about if you're required to have that 0 to 5 feet gravel, so it's not mulch isn't allowed in either, it's grass, it has to be gravel and different things. Should we exempt it from lot coverage? And that was exactly what the planner said. Well, you're just then encouraging people to go bigger and exempt from lot coverage that whole diameter. Maybe they have to go a little smaller and have that 0 to 5 foot, and then they can still put landscaping in.
This was one question I had in there about it. If it's gravel, why is that considered lot coverage?
So if it's compacted,
But if it's up against the house, it's not compacted.
how would you interpret?
If you're parking on it, it's compacted.
Mhm.
So if somebody's proposing a parking stall
Yep.
with gravel, that seems like it's impervious.
Yep.
And that's what we were talking about drainage. But if it's the 5 feet surrounding a house,
Yep.
that is highly pervious.
And I
And
guess
so
it
it doesn't
comes down
seem
to
like-
what they do. I guess in my head, people are gonna take it to just do stone, cement, things like that,
Well,
potentially.
then that would be impervious and that
Correct,
would
and
be
I-
lot
yeah,
coverage. But if it's
exactly.
gravel, if it's
If it's
loose
gravel, then
gravel,
it might not.
that shouldn't be counting
Mhm.
in our lot coverage because that's pervious. That promotes drainage.
Mhm.
We've had this in peak one, I just know, because, we had a lot of people that just kind of went back in and started laying gravel and it solved a lot of the drainage issues in the neighborhood because it drains so well. And even when there is a puddle, you don't see it. Has time to soak in. We don't have these muddy puddles anymore because people lay gravel. And so when I see us talking about gravel. being
Sorry, I
considered
should have said,
lot
yes, so if, not for the gravel, is that your understanding too, but for the concrete?
Yeah, concrete's
I guess-
impervious. For
And
sure.
we do see a lot of people do cobble along their building and we don't consider that lot
Yeah.
coverage. I think if it's a walkway, then up to 3 feet's exempt anyway. If you were putting in a 5-foot compacted gravel walkway, I guess 2 feet of that would technically be lot coverage.
If it's compacted, again, I agree with you, but I think what we're talking about is
If it's
just.
like a
It
sort
just
of a
depends how they
landscape
design
type
it.
of
I think,
gravel,
yeah.
Yeah.
then it's not lot coverage.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
and there was
It's sort
something
of-
in this, I remember, because we
Okay,
read.
so maybe I did have it
we
in
read
there.
about this earlier, because it's all kind
Yeah.
of easy too, but I feel like there was this question about if we expand the gravel surrounding the house, should that be counted lot coverage?
Got it.
It's, in my opinion, it definitely shouldn't,
Correct.
because it's draining even better,
Yeah.
so.
And
Maybe
something
that
we
was
left
sort of
it in.
your question of should it be exempted from lot coverage if people
it's
were to do 5
compacted.
feet?
If it's a walkway,
Mhm.
that's lot coverage, or, well, over 3 feet. But if it's just gravel to create defensible space, then I think your solution is don't count that as lot coverage.
Yep. Mhm.
Because it's permeable.
Okay. So yeah, it might still be a question. So now we have an answer if everyone agrees with Andy.
Well,
So just so I'm clear, does this only apply to residential areas? Does this apply like on the building we just discussed in Main Street?
Yeah, this is all structure.
All structures, okay.
Mhm.
so a
So-
project with a 5-foot setback
Yeah.
and you're building to the setback and you can
That's our
have
problem.
landscaping within 5 feet of your property.
Right.
Right, so in that case, you're not building property line to property line
Well, you're setback to setback.
or setback, right?
Because you don't
either
have
are-
room, you have to
You- but
create
you have to
pockets where you can
create
fit
5 feet
landscaping.
in,
Mhm.
you have to shrink your building.
And so that's kind of what we're looking for guidance for as we move forward, exactly what you just said.
Mhm.
Are we looking at require the landscaping, or are we looking at it as we are not going to require on certain properties? So that's kind of coming up the question, so.
You know, it's funny because I get developers all the time that are like, well, I was on the phone with one just today who says, well, here's my setbacks, so
Building
that's my building envelope and
Yeah.
so this is how many square feet. But if I had a way to say, no, you have to create landscape
Space for
zones because you
landscape.
have to fit so many trees in, that gives
Mhm.
me something to at
Yeah.
least push back on and say, yeah, we have to create some articulation in this building, so.
Mhm. Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Just like you
opposed
have to
that.
create space for parking and snow storage and drainage and all the other things.
Yeah.
And how does this apply to existing properties?
It wouldn't, except right now, where we would be people who are cutting down their existing trees, and that would be what we end up having implemented as far as one is the questions coming up is, do you need a permit and do you need to replace it? And so it would be if someone cut something down right now, we require them to replace it if they don't have enough trees on their property.
Or is there somebody actually checking these things?
Well, when they submit a permit, which Kim, how many do you get a year? Like a couple?
We've gotten 5.
Probably out of,
Tree removal?
yeah, probably out of think of how many people. have
People
probably-
being like, I'm gonna be a good citizen and do this right. and
Yeah,
everybody
So we
else-
do get some. Yeah.
Someone complains about their neighbor and
I just got a question this week from the HOA from the reserve.
I'm sorry, what?
I just got a question this week from the reserve,
Uh-huh.
the HOA, and she was like, do they have to get permits to remove a tree? And she had some other questions.
And do you?
And you do. And you're actually now, whether if it needs to be removed for fire or if it's dead, you do have to provide a letter from a professional. Or, somebody who's qualified professional to submit a letter of why the tree needs to be removed. But she said, well, we didn't even know this, and I don't think a lot of the tree removers
Anybody knows.
know that they need to get a
Never
permit.
mind.
She was like, you need to contact all these people and let them know that they need a permit. And I was like, well, we kind of depend on folks like you, and so.
And these are all
It's
questions.
almost a little arduous for people to just.
Right,
kinda
if I have a
treat
dead tree on my
A
lot.
dead tree is a
and
dead
I'm
tree.
worried about
needs
it
to come
falling on my
down,
house, I'm
and
gonna go through a
then
permit.
it's-
That's in the questions coming up for you is, should we continue to be doing
Yeah,
that? We
that's-
wanted your feedback.
It
'cause we
seems
agree.
like we're having an enforcement problem in general, that it's just another enforcement thing to take on.
The issue that people are cutting down trees that we want to save, like, how did this start?
Last year, we had 2 trees that were cut down that were in the public right of way. They weren't actually on their property.
Was that for that project? 1 second.
No, it
That
was
a
over.
developer cut down.
No, this was someone else by the lake.
Okay.
It comes down to that balance, like if we tell them no, if they call and no permit is needed, then we're not guaranteeing it's on their property either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we as staff agree it's a very arduous process, and tree cutters really have complained because the ones who apply for permits, actually, one of them has stopped, I've noticed, but someone would always get a permit and then he would have a higher bid because he's in longer timeline to go cut down the vegetation because he incorporated
He's
the
doing it.
requirement.
He's doing it the right way.
Because you want to do it correct, and he complained that everyone else, all the other companies just go cut them down and we don't see it, and they have lower bids and quicker time, so this other guy wasn't, and I don't think he submits anymore. So-
It just seems like to have a tree letter, it just seems like.
Which is why we
here's what
wanted to,
we-
yes,
But then this is what you have to do.
which is why we wanted to rewrite all the regs.
Engage a
because-
third
yeah.
party when contractors are already hard to get to show up.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's like fire mitigation or health and safety is higher than.
Yeah.
And you gotta pay somebody to come do that. So
Yeah.
Dead tree.
Like, they're
now
not gonna just do
costing
that.
Money, I can't
Yeah.
just go out with my
Yeah, I think you make it so that most people are compliant, but if you make it too hard, nobody's gonna
Yep.
be compliant. Even
Right.
your best people who realize they're getting screwed for being.
And
compliant.
that's why we want to rewrite all this, like while we're starting to make changes, so. I put up a few definitions. These were in the staff report if anyone read it this week, but turf, I did want to define because I had trouble understanding all this when I started learning about it. From Nico, and I just pictured turf, the old school, that's like the fake grass, like you go play soccer or football on turf field and it has nothing to do with watering or vegetation. So I wanted to be clear, if anyone was like me in old school, that is not turf by what we're looking at. We're looking at turf. Per definition of state is continuous plant coverage consisting of non-native grasses or grasses that have not been hybridized for arid conditions and when regularly mowed, form a dense growth of leaf. So turf is not artificial turf in this mechanism, what we're doing. We're talking about turf. When we have to limit it, we're limiting basically your healthy grass that people
Lawn.
want, but shouldn't have up here.
Yeah.
Lawns and grass, yeah.
Well, there's some
That's in the state
subdivisions.
statutes, that definition?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And are you asking, do we want to eliminate
So,
turf?
wait till I get to my questions, because I can't remember.
Wait, so turf is lawns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Not like artificial.
Yep.
It's just like the pretty green grass that are mowed. Like Three Peaks and Silverthorne outlaws turf and promotes, says you should have natural gas state.
Okay.
Like some neighborhoods
Yeah.
promote that because they're like,
Yep.
it's less watering and maintenance.
Yeah. So now have to promote it. Prohibit.
It doesn't prohibit it, but they encourage natural state over turf.
Yep, so turf, then you have functional turf. Now, the reason for this is because there are exemptions that are allowed to be used for functional turf, which is when you can have that lawn or grass, the turf definition, for a functional use, such as a sports field or a picnic. It does not include decorative or unused lawn areas. So this, again, all coming from state definitions we'll be putting in. I just want you to understand what these things mean.
That's like Walter Byron.
What's that?
That's like Walter Byron.
Yeah, correct. Yep, baseball fields will usually be that. Okay, then you have non-functional turf. Non-functional turf means turf that is not functional turf. Again, these are from the state and includes turf located in a street right-of-way, parking lot, median, or transportation corridor. Non-functional turf does not include turf that is designated to be part of water quality and things like that. So these are all broken up from the state of when you can have things and when you can't. And the reason for that, as you can see, is that if you have non-functional turf, you're talking about like, a lot of this is what the town right of ways in the town looks at and can do. Okay, so in your packet, there was a table of contents, understanding the new layout, text boxes to provide insight or highlight questions, and then staff notes, because like I said, fences have to get changed. And there's a lot of other sections of code that are connected. For example, our chapter in the code that regulates the cemetery has turf definitions and limitations or allowances. And now we have to go bring that into compliance with new definitions and then figure out what can be allowed. So not for you to worry about, but the last page just shows how we're trying to connect all the dots in the code so we don't adopt the new landscaping regs and then come back and say, well, actually we missed 20 parts of the code that are connected that we didn't think about. That was really for staff, but so you could see it. Okay, look at this. We're on the questions. Should planning require application submittals for the conversion or replacement of turf? So staff is considering allowing properties to convert or replace turf, meaning grass, to xeriscaping without needing to submit an administrative site plan. So right now, if you make changes, you're technically supposed to submit a site plan application and it goes to a planner. The pro is that if we did this, convenience for property owners not to have to draw up a site plan, submit an application and wait for a planner to review. Also, it is an incentive to property owners to remove the grass. Maybe it's an incentive if they don't have to submit an application to do it. The negative is that planning will not be able to verify that proposed replacement is in conformance with the plant list and other parts of the landscaping regs. So we really, as staff, don't have a strong preference to any of these questions. That's why we're asking them, but we just wanted to see what you thought. As a person who lives in the town and has friends in the town, do you think we should require an application to be reviewed at administrative level for somebody to remove grass and put xeriscaping in?
I think, no.
I
We're
think there's better things for you guys to do with your.
Yeah,
we're talking about xeriscaping though, I mean, what are we talking about? Like, what is it? Because it can't be patios. We're not letting people put in patios where their grass used to be, right? Because that's not xeriscaping, that's hardscaping. So there's a distinction there.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if
But
we.
if we're talking
Drought
about
resistant.
I
gravel.
think if you have clear standards, we don't need a permit, but you have to have clear standards, which kind of goes to.
Right.
what he-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to define where that line is, because again, like I said, a lot of people in peak one just put gravel in.
Yep.
And it's totally pervious and it's working great, but if that were patio, that's a different story, and then that needs to count toward lot coverage, and you should probably be taking a look at that.
Wait,
No,
but
that's
is
a great-
xeriscaping is not gravel.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, that's why I'm
Well, you
asking, what
can,
is
'cause
it?
you
I
get
see
those
a lot
little
of,
gravels and then you have plants and shrubbery and they're all around that like little rock.
my in-laws that live down in Grand Junction, and they
Yeah.
have xeriscaping, and really it's like a traditionally shaped planter bed, but it's just filled with red gravel inside of it and yellow gravel outside of it.
I think
And-
there's zero scaping, and that's what zero, like zero water, because there's no plants.
Yeah.
And then xeriscaping with an X is
Yeah.
the like drought
Drought
resistant
resistant.
native.
So we
Yeah.
just need to be clear on them. what we're
Low
talking about.
water
Idea of
issues.
having, here's the
Native.
parameters
Yeah.
and just make it clear cut.
How many people have done this?
Replace their turf.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of turf, is there?
Well,
It's on
I,
peak one.
peak one, I have to mow my lawn every week.
But apart from your park areas, like little.
Yeah, every
Everybody-
house in front, from the sidewalk to my
you.
front door,
Yeah, you-
all the way down. And it's watered, HOA waters it
An
3
accident.
times a week. And I've got to mow it once a week.
8 times a week, does
But
that
I
work
don't
for our
think-
water regulations?
That's,
We do Like 2 times a week, right?
I don't know.
Pick one for
Violation.
water violations.
But
Uh-oh.
because that's an interesting question in that situation, because I don't know, but my HOA regs probably have something to say about me tearing up my
Yeah.
lawn
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And how that, how that's gonna overlay with.
Well, you'd have to check
Or
with your
town.
HOA, but for the town's perspective, they're not asking you for a permit. You can go
I-
ahead
If
and.
your HOA is okay with it, then. the
Yeah.
town would be okay
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
And I think I like your idea of clarifying what it is. We don't have it clarified. What we do have that we could
Right.
easily tie this to is we stole the draft from Summit County. I liked. They had a chart and it has the xeriscape rating for each plant, which is really nice. Appreciate you having that in there. And so we could identify it based on the different X level, X, double X or triple X, and say these are xeriscaping that do not require an application. Is that what? we're
Yeah.
good with?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, we're on the dead and diseased tree one. So we already talked about this. You can skim it instead of waiting for me to read it out loud. The question is, should we take in application submittals for dead and diseased trees?
I mean, would you require like the minimum amount of trees?
So
and
that's
shrubs?
why we take it in right now to make sure they still have the minimum.
So if somebody said, I have all dead trees, okay, get rid of them all, but. you
Then we
still have
would
to come back
require
and
them to
plant
replace
new.
them with our special condition to approve the removal as we condition by X date, they install replacement trees.
Couldn't you not do application submittals, but always make sure there's the minimum?
Through what though?
But then we might as well get our
Private
25
buy?
bucks.
Trees.
The ones that I've gotten so far, they usually just kind of have an overview site plan. And we just have a mark on there which trees are being removed.
Mhm.
And it usually is in a pretty forested
Yeah.
area. And it's just like a few trees here and there, and so you can clearly see that like, they're not, taking all of the trees, but that's only what I've seen so far.
What was the protocol during like beetle kill? And everybody was taking down tons of trees.
That was application submittals, I believe. Was application submittals at least since 2016. And I don't think it got changed before that. I doubt people were getting them as much as, but we did used to see more even back in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
People were in the habit of submitting to us.
Does the code say
the code has a minimum number of trees, right?
Correct.
So if somebody were to like come deforest their lot, you could be like, you're out of compliance with the
Yeah.
code.
That's where I was getting.
But
Okay,
like, we don't
that's where I was
necessarily need to enforce and count trees on every person that's getting rid of their dead tree.
Right.
If it becomes a problem on a
We
specific
could
lot,
have
you
it as a
connect
code
this.
requirement about replacement, but not require it as an
I
application.
will tell you, the number one policer of trees are your neighbors.
Yeah.
Yep. Like you don't have to be the policers. Everybody else
Yeah.
is doing it. Like
Okay.
every neighborhood I've ever been to, like, oh, well, the trees grew up there and now our view is different or whatever. And then it's like, oh, but they cut down this and that, so trees are pretty watched.
I don't know that that's where we want your times.
Yeah.
No, I think if you're all okay with it, I think I like the idea that it would clearly require replacement in the code so we can enforce it if someone clear cuts and we get a complaint. But an application is not required to make people do it.
Yeah.
That's a
To
good,
remove dead.
that's why we had to come to you. So thank you. Okay. If we're gonna require replacement for dead or diseased trees, then how about trees removed in the immediate zone, which is that first 5 feet? So when the fire district says get rid of all these trees, do we make them put them in other parts of their lot? And
I haven't
seeing,
a
Back to the-
general comment, and
Yeah.
Emma's heard this before, in that other room. But like, I feel like we should consider how many trees are on the lot, because like, you could take down 2 trees that are in your wildfire zone, but you have 75 other trees, and planting 2 trees is just makes people think it's silly.
Well, it's
You have a
just
lot,
to the
right?
minimum. Do you have the minimum? Good.
Yeah. If they don't, then yeah, you got to plant 2 more
Have
trees.
75 trees or 3 trees if you have the
yeah,
minimum.
so we don't care about replacement as long as you have the minimum, which we're okay with, like I'm.
What
just
is the
clarifying.
minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the minimum?
I don't know.
That's what we're gonna get to.
Oh.
We have some ideas based on different jurisdictions and what we have, so I like it. Thank you. And we don't like doing it either, just the
Yeah.
code makes us.
Generally speaking, people.
We have a lot of additions right now and we have a lot of 2 trees, please, prior to CO. What does the commission think is an adequate tree and shrub count for residential and non-resident? Here you go, Ira. So respecting the required defensible space zones, but also provides a natural appearance within town. So we propose for residential to match Silverthorne as outlined, for 1 to 3 units, not with a common entity. It would be, they have these options. And actually, I'd like Lena's opinion because she used to have to enforce this and see if you liked it or if you recommend it. 3 trees and 6 shrubs, or 4 trees and 3 shrubs, or 5 trees and no shrubs. So the applicant can kind of pick what they want instead of us saying this many trees per square foot of the property and this many shrubs per square foot of the property. So wanted to see what you thought. For non-residential, I liked, Summit County, 3 trees and 2 shrubs, which is similar to what we have for every 1,500 square feet of floor area. So it's different than our current code where we look at it as a property. Summit County looks at it per floor area, at least the part I pulled. So, and I think, yeah, here we go.
I'll just say, since you asked, that Silverthorne requirement is easily met. Nobody ever had an issue with it.
Okay. It seemed easier than ours, like from when I used to help out over there.
I like the flexibility.
Yeah, I liked all of that on
3,
that
2, 6,
page.
though.
Isn't there something in one of the codes about planter boxes?
Yes,
being
we're gonna get
put
to that. So for central core, you can substitute.
In central court.
And that's gonna be a question if we want to expand that or not. So for right now, and again, knowing you're gonna see this numerous times, but we did want to have a draft of what you thought you'd want for minimum requirements and just what we have, which is on the left. It just, I don't know, I kind of like the other town and counties better, so. If you're all right, we'll draft it as we talked and you could always look at it again. Kelsey's falling asleep.
Do you think that you, on this it says for every 1,000 square feet of floor area, Summit County does 3 trees and 2 shrubs. On the previous slide, you said 1,500 square feet of floor area. I think it is 1,000.
Thank you.
You're going public, your public use area fees is where your brain went on that, if you want to know what you did.
Oh, thank you. Okay, appreciate that. So this chart is correct.
Chart's correct, I believe.
I trust, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I would say,
But-
I'll say on the commercial, non-residential Silverthorne
Yep.
code, that code is out of control.
Okay,
And
What do you mean?
so it requires a lot of landscaping and a lot of people don't like it.
okay,
And over the years, we had taken that, ratcheted that down, but that, I guess all I'm saying is I like the code for the single family the first one, but the second one, you can use it as a point of reference, but generally not liked.
Okay, so that's good to know.
unless-
So stick with our recommendation. We use Silverthorne for the top, for the resident 1 to 3, and then for bigger stuff, we look at County, Summit County, merge the two in our landscaping. Okay,
So can I ask a question?
this is what we.
So if you're adding disturbed area, do those minimums still matter? Like, do your
Oh.
minimums change if your project changes the size of the building? I'm-
Or if it was a town 1 to 3 residential units without common area, you would have to meet one of these 3. So you wouldn't have to, if you already have, for example, 3 trees and 6 shrubs, you wouldn't have to add more to your point, I think you're asking.
Okay.
Yep, we would just look at that minimum. Non-residential in the commercial would, if they built an addition, they would have to add more trees and shrubs.
How does that change in central core?
What's that?
How does that change in the central core? Or is
Uh-huh.
that because, I mean, you have 0 lot line
Yep.
in central core.
We'll get to that. That would come in the exempt alternatives that we allow right now. We'd still have. This is just kind of looking at the basic. We already have like the basic in the code and just looking at redoing those numbers. I think it would be less trees and shrubs than what we require now, just to make that clear, but we'd still have it. What were you gonna say?
Well, I guess this is more of my asking a clarification, but for 4 or more units, we would follow the floor area.
Yep.
Okay.
It's drafted right now. Yeah. Good question. I need everyone's help. Okay, that's back to what we already asked. Does the commission want to expand alternatives? Here you go, Andy, for landscaping areas in addition to Main Street, East and West Main Street and Summit Boulevard? So in an effort to reduce wildfire risk and reduce water usage while still promoting aesthetics, we want to know if the commission wants us to allow alternatives, which are listed there that people do. This is a good question because it's also like, should a bench count as a tree, which it today can, as an alternative to tree and shrub counts. And the 3 thought places we flagged for consideration, we were curious, which are more built out of pavement. It doesn't mean that we want them that way, are the Dillon Dam Road, Lusher Court, and 10 Mile Drive. So do you think we should require trees and shrubs in those areas for aesthetics in the town? Or do you think those are areas where we could allow benches and planter box and art instead of trees and shrubs?
Do you allow people to plant trees in the right of way?
No.
No.
If they do, but it doesn't count towards the required.
Could you allow them to count a couple of, just like you do parking?
I'd be curious if anyone knows if other communities do. Our problem is it's just the liability if it gets knocked down with snow plows or anything. They may not remain.
Yeah,
Cause we always say if you put it in the right of way, it might
it's
be
your
ruined.
responsibility.
So then are we knocking down and then is Public Works plowing those trees down on accident? And then we're kind of defeating the purpose of requiring them.
And who's maintaining them?
We do have developers ask to put them in the right of way and not on their property pretty much on a weekly basis. So,
Yeah, and I feel like that used to come up as well in Silverthorne.
yeah.
Maybe you have like landscape zones in the right of way that are.
That you say on different streets. We can talk to Josh and see. I would say maybe when things calm down a little in the Public Works world. When they're fully staffed and not in the busy season.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think my comment on this, right, like
Yep.
the trees and shrubs, like once, what's it called when they only need the watering for a couple of years, right? When
Yeah.
establish themselves. Thank you. Once they establish themselves, they're not really using that much water usage and there's like habitat and other benefits. And I don't know if I really see like some public art compensating in that way. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just throwing that in there.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'd like
think
to see the trees and shrubs.
shade is
Yeah.
something that is not not a picnic or a bench is not gonna accomplish it.
Yep.
There's something.
Yeah.
I like some of that, but not all of it.
But Lusher Court is
Think of AC Marriott.
I know, but it's just that little stretch, right? That's
is.
solid concrete.
Yeah, I was just in my head trying to brainstorm. I mean, there's other areas if you liked it, you might think about, but again, it's really just asking the question. Don't have an opinion. It was just, should we do this or not?
I don't think we should change the rules on 10 Mile Drive or Dillon Dam Road. To me, that they're perfectly
More landscaping.
landscaping and
aesthetic.
Musher Court, the ship may have sailed. I don't know how many applicants we're gonna get.
Yep.
Moving forward on Musher Court. I mean,
Yeah, just if we get
I mean,
renovation.
especially once the roundabout goes in over
Yeah,
there.
it's true.
Pretty much all getting redone anyway.
Yeah.
There's not gonna be much left.
Yep. So don't
Yeah,
allow.
planning could redevelop, so could the property across the street.
And there's nothing wrong with saying you want trees and shrubs to be in there. So if that's kind of the direction,
I
it's
agree.
fine, just.
Planter boxes feel better than.
Yeah, some,
Vegetation.
I agree.
Being alive.
What'd you say,
Alive.
Candace? Sorry.
Planter
Uh,
boxes.
I was just agreeing with Jess that like the public art in patios or seating feels different than like planter boxes and plants.
Do you think we should even be allowing that as we do now in the central core as an alternative?
In central core,
You think it's okay?
because those benches are actually used, I don't know, but like on Lusher Court.
Yeah.
Nobody's sitting out there.
Just enjoy this public
They
art.
do have some lovely landscaping though in the parking lots. It's the best parking lot landscaping I've ever seen. The parking lot usage, not great, but landscaping
landscaping is
beautiful.
nice.
It's like the grasses, like their little mini park. At that point, I'd be like, I'll take some more parking spots, but.
Or make them a little more lined up.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I think we're good with ground. I think I have the answer on the 0 to 5 feet. If it's, we have to distinguish between we just follow our lot coverage as we have it written. As far as if it's.
Gravel, uncompacted gravel doesn't count as lot
I
coverage.
don't think so, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why some of my questions are duplicated. You don't need to see for right now why it meets the comp plan. Okay, I think that was it.
Nothing
There-
on grout? Can we talk about grout?
We're
Yeah,
gonna-
I think that should go into landscaping somewhere.
Quarter
If you're gonna
four.
make
Quarter 4 is supposed to be our design requirement discussion. I'm not gonna lie, we're running behind on our action plan and conduct. Quarter 8.
Talk grout.
There are a lot of,
Tandem parking. We're gonna
We
say
need that in the
That's it.
peak of winter.
yeah.
Winter is when I want to talk about crap.
Final question on landscaping, and think of it even over the next few weeks and just email with me. If you have thought of things you think you don't like or that you've seen that don't make sense. I have rewritten all of it, basically not rewritten, but reordered and put things in. But if there's something you really would like to make sure we're addressing or changing, then please let me know because it doesn't mean that we've thought of everything.
How about,
Landscaping right now are, especially with all the construction, is all the workers parking in the right of way and wrecking the grass on that or adjacent properties, their right of way grass, like.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like they're coming back and redoing it, and I can find 5 examples of where grass
Yep.
was and stuff in the right of way, and now it's just like
Yeah.
impermeable gravel
Yep.
parking spots.
And it's a good point. I think Josh has been trying to figure out how to get better. Staffing's the wrong word because it sounds like they don't do a good job. Different roles or how to reorganize over there a lot since he started. And that is one thing that hasn't really taken place. What we actually, the former public works staff did. They had Joe, our community resource guy, doing sign offs on right away. And he even would say, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be looking at. I just have this checklist and I'm just signing off. So there was a little admittedly of a glitch in who was doing it. Nothing against Joe, we loved him, but in who had the technical knowledge of the right of way, who should.
It's like almost every brand new infill there in the right of way, it's like gravel, hard,
Yep.
no longer gonna grow grass ever again.
And
I'm
that
like, this
is not the way it's
acceptable that
supposed to be.
the contractors wrecked the conditions around the site by parking there, cause there's nowhere to park in all of these infill. Like the only people I could commend really right now is PCL on their clean site and keeping their parking off there, like cleaning up every night, sweeping the streets. I mean, like, they are really setting an example of like how a site needs to be controlled.
because they took over the town right away.
They did, and now they got a new light.
And
Can
now
you
you're-
sign that high.
On the.
Does that need to sign
Yeah.
that?
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Ira, what did you do? You're the light.
I always hop out over here.
Enforcer.
Didn't it come down?
The dark eye enforcer.
Oh,
Enforcer, what happened?
That way.
Fell asleep at the job.
it was so dark.
About to name the crane.
Is he so charming?
Yeah, well, it's the sign that's illuminated.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so Thad said signs on the crane is a sign on a vehicle, which is always allowed legally.
Oh my God. Okay, anyway.
I mean, like, yes, they're taking up the town, but have you also noticed like right away it's getting wrecked?
time?
Are we griping right
Well, I guess we should close this.
There's on the tower that we don't like on the street,
Yep.
there says like towers.com or something.
Mhm.
Is that a sign that's allowed?
Can we go paint the barriers?
Yes, Thad.
Painting party.
I wanted
It's a vehicle?
Can we not ask
A
that?
crane is a vehicle. I know. How about we make our own?
Got it. They
Okay.
haven't finished it either. Let's see what it looks like when it's
Wait,
done.
this crane over here?
And the tower.
Yeah,
that you
antenna
voted
that you
against.
hated?
I forgot.
Oh, that you voted for?
That I voted
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, did you see the right of way
Yes.
disturbance that for the
Like, it says, like,
wetlands
towers.
disturbance? I'm like, the building's in the river right
Where they can
now.
put the repeater.
Yes,
All right, and do you want to keep us moving
Anyway.
staff and
Uh,
commissioner updates?
Yeah, sure. Shall we move on to staff and commissioner updates?
Yes,
Griping
updates.
time.
Can I just make one quick comment?
long as it's gripe.
Landscaping, because I'm living it with Emma. We talk a lot about like the redevelopment.
We're living a project
A
of.
project.
What does that
Living with
mean?
Emma.
Clarification?
Living, discussing landscaping requirements.
Not live together.
Together. I was
Living
doing
with
quick
Emma on
like
this.
cleaning is basically what's happening. So on my house, I do have room, and I feel like a lot of our code that we're looking at is about this infill development where we're building 4 townhomes. And I feel like just keep in mind as we think about code changes that there are lots with single family homes that look and feel different than these infill developments. And so just keep both in mind, because I feel like this was an example of like, I'm like, okay, I have to add 2 trees because I'm disturbing 1,000 feet, and like, we're now 4 trees. Because my architect drew my disturbance area bigger. And so it was like this, like, it just didn't like make common sense because I have a lot of trees on my property. So all that to say, like, the landscaping requirements and some of these other things that we're talking about, a lot of what we see is like these infill developments, but there are other lots where people are trying to like do things that have more different feels than the. That's my stuff.
Which are the traditional Frisco lots, not these like every home.
I
is
think you
a-
captured that with a different.
Yeah, I think it's captured, just like something to keep in mind as we do code changes, that there are different types of lots, not just.
regular people, not just like, okay.
Yeah, I don't have $7 million.
It's like the overall insight I got, and this is more of a recap to make sure I understood, is we are okay saying you may need to make a smaller footprint because we will require landscaping still, and that we understand that there's limitations and you're going to still make it work. And so you may have to do less building on the infill sites also, just kind of taking what you said and then also going back to what I think that's kind of what I heard from the group, that was what I wasn't sure of. If we want to go away from it more, keep it. And I'm hearing keep it, but limit
Encourage
this- yeah.
people doing firewise.
And at that point, infill in existing lots should probably be considered for both, like when we do it all, like to your point. Yeah.
You have to fit it all on your site. You can't just be like, ooh, how about I put it all in the right of way?
And just because you have a big site doesn't mean you should have to do 8 times the amount of landscaping potentially. Staff updates. We have a lot of code amendments that we're trying to work on, as you know, but we're not gonna have a meeting in 3 weeks because we don't want to stress ourselves out trying to bring things back so quick. So your first meeting in August, we will cancel because we have no applications ready to go. A reminder for you in case you forgot what's on the radar. We're still waiting for a final site plan. You already did a sketch plan on the Silingo lot up on Beaver Lodge Road, all those townhomes. So that we have not gotten a complete major site plan application yet. So it's still hanging out there, but we don't have anything to even review yet or give you. And then Emma has 2 from a DRCs recently, that we expect are gonna come through for sketch plan, both of them on Granite Street. Is that right? Or did we already do a sketch plan for one? Sorry.
Yeah, you saw a sketch plan for 40 Granite, and we do anticipate they're gonna submit a full site plan pretty soon, so that'll come sometime.
And yeah,
But then, yeah,
thank you.
there's a couple other ones that we've seen at DRC that will probably submit a sketch, but who knows when. Yeah.
And just for your info, one of them is the lot next to Sabatini and one of them is the lot Todd Crow wants to come back for 90 Madison.
Is there anything going on the Frisco lot? I saw a bunch of people over there
Which-
today.
Oh yeah, that was us.
Was it?
Yeah, so Kelsey's talking about by
I
the
was thinking
elementary
college
school.
class.
It is a college class. Eighth and second. So we.
Got any
had-
questions, guys?
Yeah, actually, it's fun for us as staff. We have a contract we got permission from council. It's super cheap. And we have a group it's a UTAP program out of Denver College of Architecture. And what we do is we get assigned a group with a mentor and they are going to host a public charrette and they are going to be a non-biased. There's landscape architect, 2 architects and a planner on the team. And then they have a mentor who does this with communities around the state. And today was their first visit. And
So
we
is
showed
it
them
a
the site.
hypothetical?
It's a hypothetical, but they will be having a charrette. They'll design what their experience and what they hear from the public they recommend we develop there for residential, whether it's high density or like a Nellie's neighborhood. And then that will go to council and council will provide direction. And if we come up with a plan, we just got free design plans that we will put out to bid.
Is that on the radar to be developed in the near future?
It is in the next like 5 years in theory.
Because I was like, I thought we didn't have the money. I mean, the
So,
site
yep.
would look a lot
Yes.
better. I have an issue.
Sorry,
with
which
the
side
fence.
are we talking about?
Over on where they bought the house on 8th and then the other one, they were all out there and I was like, is it
Yeah.
gonna happen? Cause
So,
I'm pro for that being
Yep.
what it's gonna be and do that, but right now it's a
Yeah.
house that has a fence that's gonna start lodging.
so it's fun,
that
not
truck
funny,
with
but
them.
I will tell you, when James and I pulled up in his truck, I go, oh, I put in a limb. Well, I said I put in a limbo request to have that fence removed and he goes, I did too. So Public Works, we both duplicated. a
There's 2
request to
people
get
from
the
my
fence down.
He's on one.
I talked to one also today who came out to see what we were doing out there, not from Uni, but across the street. So that fence will come down.
Good.
when
I just
Public
worked
Works
about
has time.
actually picking up and blowing across.
We did put in a request, which they just need time and manpower, whatever they.
Does they come up with some cool?
Yeah,
ideas?
and it'll all be engaged with the public and then the council. So it's a learning opportunity for grad students and that hopefully we get something, a product we can use. They use solar, they look at all the newer creative
Cool.
thoughts. So yeah, it could.
It's totally like a class.
It was, yeah, well, they drove a college truck or SUV too. And it's like, oh, look, we're showing up with the college kids. They're great though. I mean, it was the kickoff day for them. So they came up to see Frisco, see the site and just hear our general overview of town government code, things like that. And then they'll dive in. It's very slow. We knew that when we started talking to them, they asked us to plan for like 12 to 18 months because the kids are full-time students and most of them have other jobs to get them through grad
But
school.
it's like free work. It's free.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it is less,
And
it's
education.
not 100% free, but it's like a very negligible cost.
Yeah,
So
and
they're
they
working.
follow all the codes and.
Yeah, and they have the architects, which we don't have on our staff. So they'll look at all the code, like building codes and it's cool. And then the same group went up to Copper after us today. They're doing wayfinding and some park analysis for Copper Mountain is also a project for them. So I think they gave a group the mountain areas who applied for it. Yeah, so more to come on that one, but James is the coordinator for that.
When's this building coming down?
Which one?
The cheese grater West Main?
As soon as the cell tower equipment is fully installed and operational.
On the new tower.
Yes.
Lena will be on with that.
Is that all you got?
The Jessica Tower.
Yeah. Because it means you won't have cell service in that part of
Any
town.
commission tower, minus Lena.
602 Galena is going to be completed this fall. Final inspections are already taking place
great.
inside, which is
good.
awesome.
Great.
Yeah, so that got ahead of schedule.
High views, but whatever.
Oh, I know, I was gonna say, but like, it seems like still kind of an open site for like the size of that building, still kind of being narrow. Did a nice job, Ann.
Yeah, it looks great. The landscaping looks amazing. The sidewalk is amazing. I like the on-street parking.
just take it. I won't
Emma hasn't gone out to the final inspection yet. I go, sign them up.
Yeah.
Did you check the house?
Landscaping checked. Parking
Painting a bunch of stuff.
looks good.
Pioneer Park slated for next year.
Oh yeah, what happened there?
There should be a fence going up in the next few days.
I was gonna say, don't you have balls this year?
Can't wait to hoop it up.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, there's like
Everyone,
pickleball
I'm gonna
over
get
there.
a fight with the tennis players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're swatting.
you'll see the construction.
You do got outdoor balls? I do. Yes. I just got indoor ball.
Any other updates, Kim or Emma? that
What's
you can
going on with
think
your
of?
staff?
Yeah.
We have had actually, we've had positive changes, honestly, for us. But we have lost Joe, the community resource tech. So he was community relations and code enforcement. It was not a full-time job. We are so lucky he stayed as long as he did because that job was not enough work involved and just no one wants to do that job for long. So he moved on. He's still in the county, which we love seeing him around. We are not filling that position in our department. We suggested that every department take on their own code enforcement, and discussions are taking place that probably isn't really supported by everybody. So there probably will be like a part-time through a different department code enforcement hired. But I actually requested not to have that full-time position refilled because it wasn't needed. Then Kyle was our community development specialist. He did short-term rentals. He left about 6 weeks ago, right? The same time as Joe, kind of. Moved on to other things. Same thing from my own selfish perspective. It was not a full-time position. I've been covering it. And now we're transitioning it over to finance to take, they've already done the taxes. We just did the application and admin stuff. So that is being redistributed. Finance is going to take that over. I've been working with them now after I learned it to pass it to them. And they had the capacity because water billing has gone from finance to public works. So we're not just throwing our work on to new people who are already there. We've reshifted things to make more sense within the town. And then what we're interviewing this week for a part-time admin for ComDev. New position for us, but what we really need is just all of us need help with a lot of more administrative stuff. They'll help us with some of the code bio letters. They'll run reports. They'll do some of the permit intake that Kim's been doing since she started. So what happened is we got rid of the permit tech. It's just building, and we used to have a permit tech who did everything. Then we contracted to building. They do permit tech duties for building. And we hired Kim, who took on all of our permit tech duties as a planner 1. And she's been great at it, but we'd like her to be able to grow a little bit more and try taking on some bigger projects for planning. And you'll see her present, but we can't do that unless we can have someone help do some of that intake and easy processing that she's doing. So we're hiring a part-time ComDev admin. We have really great applicants, so that should be filled hopefully by the end of the month. And then Chris Valdez, I appreciate it. I brought her on as my friend to do the comp plan. Current planning was not her interest or her thing. We knew that the whole time, and now it's turned into a complete current planning role. So she has happily, and we are excited for her, gone into a role with Chaffa that I think she's honestly is more her interest and skill set. So all good things for everybody. Like just what we do in the office has shifted in time, and I think it's better overall for our budget where we're at. But Emma, Kim, and I are definitely doing a lot with the principal planner, and then I'm doing STRs and community relations.
And are you going to stay doing
We have a principal planner position already hired or posted.
it? No, I mean, like, are you going to stay having to do the short-term rentals and?
No, we're
Going to finance.
transitioning it to finance.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
missed that.
No, that's going to finance. Because they got rid of water billing or are getting it. So lots of changes, but honestly, it kind of is all for the better, I think, for our department and for the town budget as a whole. And just things keep changing as far as needs. Short-term rental has gotten way more simplified thanks to technology than what it used to be. So that helps. So, but we do have a principal planner position posted. If anyone knows any principal planners and friends in other areas who might want to come here. So
Even nearby constant emotions.
what's that?
Nothing.
What was what?
Nothing.
Oh.
We all missed it. I think it was something to Jess that we all missed.
Yeah, no, it's just an inside joke. Sorry.
But yeah, that so honestly, we are very short-staffed right now in ComDev, but we're hanging in there for the most part, and it's good. Brain fried.
Katie's
Somebody
carrying
great.
us.
You're okay.
Yeah.
There's no blinking going on, just caffeine. Emma even yesterday, she's like, it's my 3 o'clock coffee hour. And I'm like, God, stop drinking coffee at 3 in the afternoon.
Anything else?
Motion to
Motion,
adjourn.
motions. Second.
Favor.
All right.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
you,
It was good to
guys.
have a meeting.